Slenderman. You may know him as an internet legend, from his high-profile photobombings to his leading role in a box office megabomb. But what you probably don't know is that he's made his own games. You did know. In fact, that's arguably what he's most famous for. Well, wouldn't it be crazy if someone played all of them? Well, that's what I am, and that's what I did. I scoured the internet and found every Slenderman game I could, and today I'm going to pin them on this board and rank them from S to F to find the very worst and the very best. I feel like I should say more, but I can't really think of anything, so let's begin. The place we of course have to start this adventure is with Slender the 8 Pages, originally titled just Slender and developed by Mark J. Hadley under PSX Productions. The game was first released in June of 2012, and it is the original Slenderman game. Maybe some others came out first, but none that mattered and none that set the tone and style for every version to come like this one did. Slenderman originated from photoshops on the Something Awful forums and got spread around the internet under the guise of a real urban legend. Soon after, an ARG was posted on YouTube. If you don't know what that is, let's just say it's a series of videos. Marble Hornets blew up and made Slenderman extremely popular, enough that it inspired Mark J. Hadley to make a game, and here we are. You are someone, a person, probably a female from the sound of the breathing, but I can't assume. You're in the woods, you have a flashlight, you can walk and strafe using the arrow keys, sprint with shift, and grab pages you find pinned up around the woods by clicking on them. The pages are all crude, hasty sketches of Slenderman or warnings, the rampant scribblings of someone being harassed by a monster through the woods. Why are you grabbing these pages? 'Cause that's the title of the game. Duh. Take a guess how many there are. The purpose and origin of the pages is irrelevant. The goal is to collect them all. So what makes that a challenge? Well, that's where the other part of the title comes in. Slenderman relentlessly pursues you through your scavenger hunt using 2 abilities, walking and teleporting. If he catches up to you, keeping within about a meter of you for any length of time, he'll grab you and end the game. Looking at the tall boy for too long will also cause static to encroach your screen, and after too long he'll catch you this way. Slenderman will grow progressively more aggressive in his pursuit as you play, his level of aggression dictated by a combination of the timer ticking up and the player grabbing pages. Your flashlight also technically has just over 15 minutes of battery life, but by the time that comes around, Slenderman will probably be chasing you so tightly you've already got gone. The atmosphere is what really makes this game. I don't think it's a hot take to say being grabbed stops being scary after maybe the first time it happens, possibly before. It's the tension created by the sound of your feet on the forest floor, your laboured breathing, the inky dark, and that eldritch shape that never moves while you're staring him down. There's only a singular map in the game, but it's pretty well designed. From overhead, we can see it's basically a ring with the toilets in the middle and the cross wall on a little offshoot. It's chock-a-block with trees, but the important landmarks are easy to distinguish, and good thing, because these are where you'll find the pages. There are 10 locations within which the pages can spawn, and if you do the maths, that means that 2 of these locations will be duds on every playthrough. It's so dark that if you're a directional illiterate like myself, you'll lose track immediately and find yourself stumbling back across places you've already searched over and over. But being lost and chased through the dark is the experience. There is some strategy to be employed here despite how simple it is. The toilets are the easiest place to get cornered in, so it's probably a good idea to head there first. Slenderman doesn't spawn until after you've grabbed the first page or 5 minutes have passed, his arrival signalled by this thumping noise. The other move that I probably relied on way too much is peeking him. Because he has performance anxiety and is too embarrassed to move when you look at him, you can kind of stun him a bit by looking at him quickly, but not long enough for the static to build up and have him clap your cheeks. Unless that's what you want. He's a tall skinny twink in a well-tailored suit. I certainly couldn't blame you. In the run I recorded, I got to 6 pages and then spent so long trying to spin around and keep him at bay that I couldn't keep track of where I was going. At a certain point his speed got so much faster than my walking that he just gained on me bit by bit over the course of minutes, and I can only imagine he was very irritated by the time he got me. Don't worry that I've not beaten the game and missed some key detail of the game's plot. You just fade out and back to the menu with a sense of pride and accomplishment. With some more playtime, there's an unlockable day mode which lets you see a lot further, which is fun, I guess. This is the original, and it's what set the stage. Pure, simple, atmospheric. I'm gonna slot this straight in at B tier. It's a bit too bare bones to get an A, but it achieves what it sets out to do as a free game. Hats off to Mark J. Hadley. You set the rest of this video in motion. Number 2. Alright, I'm going to immediately make things confusing, but that's just passing on my experience to you. This is Slenderman the 8 Pages. Didn't we just play that? Nah, bitch, we played Slender the 8 Pages. It's different. It is the first download to come up when you Google Slender the 8 Pages. Is that why it's the second game? Because I accidentally played this instead? No! Shut up! This is a remake of the original Slender concept recreated in high res by Orphic Games. The last version was released in 2022 and unsurprisingly it comes with a full visual update. Now you'd think that the game basically remaking the original but in Unreal 5 would be a slam dunk, like when the big dude at the gym walks up and starts curling twice what you are. Putting it next to the original game should be unfair, but it actually serves to highlight what works well in the original. I appreciate things about Slender that I otherwise wouldn't have. Okay, but this game isn't exactly the same, so let's discuss. First thing, maps. The game comes with not just one map, but 3, Forest, Winter, and Autumn. Immediately, the visual improvements strike you. This game genuinely looks lush. The dark is so thick and oppressive, it feels like my flashlight is barely holding it back. Of course, mechanically, we know what to expect. Collect the 8 pages, don't let that creepy guy hug you. The sound has also been overhauled, and if there's one thing I cannot diss, it's the atmosphere. All those same sounds, your feet crunching through the undergrowth, your breath hitching in your throat, that ominous, droning ambient track, it's never sounded better. In addition, we now get the sounds of movement in the woods around us, snapping twigs and rustling leaves. For a first experience, you'll be charmed, but I fear that feeling may not last. First off the map, it looks great, but it's not easy to navigate, and I'm not talking about the darkness. I pointed out that all the pages in Slender were placed on recognizable landmarks, and in Slenderman... Fuck, let me retake that. I pointed out that all the pages in Slender were placed on recognizable landmarks, and in Slenderman, there are no recognizable landmarks. It's just a bunch of indistinguishable buildings and identical crates. The path does mostly do a good job of making you go past the pages. You don't have to hunt around every corner of a building to see it, thank God. If they were hidden, I'd have found like 2 per round. Finding the last 2 or 3 pages was always a nightmare of wandering around in the dark, realizing time after time that this is the same building I was just fucking in. And Slenderman himself, he looks good, sure, no doubt, he's downright batty, but I have no idea what he's up to. He does not follow you in any way, he just sort of teleports around very occasionally. On rounds where I found the pages, it took me like 15 minutes, and yet I only saw him about 3 times. The first time I won, I never saw him between finding page 6 and page 8. I usually wouldn't see him on runs I lost either, I'd just suddenly die. The rustling leaves are a nice touch, but it becomes quickly blatant it has no bearing on Slenderman, that just happens. If he's close, if he's far, it makes no difference, you can ignore the noises. And don't think that the other maps are any different. Autumn has brown leaves and winter has snow. The layouts are different, I assume, no way to tell, but it's the same assets. I played for long enough to unlock all the unlockables. I got extra battery life, extra sprint, faster moving, and the magnum opus, Slender Vision. Do I want to see in the dark? Yeah, I want to see in the dark. I want it so I can see Slendy tracking me down, so I could understand him, but he just turns up at random. I'd find the first 5 pages and then just quit out because finding the last 3 took too long, but one time I just stood there to see what Slendy would do. By spinning on the spot, I could hear the piano explosion that told me where he was, and then I'd stare at him, but to my surprise he didn't attack, he fled. Like I caught him and he got embarrassed. Eventually I felt bad and stared at my feet, but he just didn't come get me. It was like 3 minutes of this and he just wasn't into it. 10 out of 10 on atmosphere, everything else, B. Still, I think it's actually going below the original, can you believe it? Without challenge, there's no excitement, and also the Slender vision was awful. It looked disgusting and I could see further, but the monochrome meant the map was harder to navigate. And the pages were hard to see. Cool in concept, but disappointing in execution. Dawn of Slenderman Unity is made by EasyAU954 Gamer and contains a whopping 6 different maps. Get mogged, Slenderman the 8 pages. Okay, so admittedly 2 of them are just other maps, but in the day, Forest, Suburbia, Gorilla, and Forest 2, and Forest Day and Suburbia Day. The game's textures are so low fidelity that upon loading in, I thought something was wrong, but it turned out I was just looking at the floor. What's really weird is that you can go into the config and hit the quality up button a couple times to make everything way higher resolution, but it defaults to visual quality akin to motorboating Lara Croft. The maps are appreciably tight and dense, with clear landmarks where you can find the notes. Slenderman doesn't chase you in this one either, instead he just teleports around, but he also can't move, he simply hopes you'll look at him too long.
It would seem that as long as you don't bother him, he won't bother you. He's just peeping on you, making sure you're not doing anything naughty. The ambience and atmosphere obviously doesn't quite come together. The trees are all identical, the world doesn't feel like a legitimate space, and sometimes you just need to scooch past Slenderman to get what you need. Sorry there, buddy, don't mind me, I'm just picking up some drawings. Gorilla is by far the weirdest and most interesting map, made up of long, thin tunnels where Slenderman can easily corner you. Of course, you can just wait for him to leave, he's very polite. I also found this awesome trick where if you walk into this one wall just right, you can clip into a tiny hole and never escape. Am I out of things to say? I think I'm out of things to say. Oh, the sound of dogs barking in the forest level makes me feel like I'm in someone's backyard. C tier. It's playable, it's not amazing, but I think the Suburbia map and whatever Gorilla is are kinda neat. Slender and the Donut Addiction is made by R3G TXGFU and tasks you with collecting 5 donuts from around Slender's woods in order to escape on a rocket. Apparently, Slenderman has a sugar addiction, and you're helping him out with it, and his woods are smaller than my bedroom. The main question is why these donuts are scattered all around like this. Come on, Slendy, there's bugs out here. You gotta be better than this, bud. You literally have a refrigerator. Why are these donuts at the foot of trees? It is genuinely slightly frightening how he lumbers after you constantly in this tight space, and when you get trapped by branches, it's very claustrophobic. Not like enough to be actually good, but I'm trying to be positive here. This is the 4th game. I gotta keep my spirits up. The rocket escape appears to rather be watching a rocket take off. There's not even a jump scare or anything. D tier, I suppose. It's not god-awful, but I'm not recommending this, am I? Slenderman's Shadow is made by Mark Steen and released in January of 2013. This is definitely going to be one of the ones people remember. All the big Let's Players have a video of pretty much every level in this game, and on the one hand, I understand why. The game is very much the same fare we've gotten used to by now. You have to collect pages, Slenderman's going to hunt you, you can't look at him too long, you don't want to shake his hand. The real strengths of this game are clear. It looks better than Slender the 8 Pages, it plays better, sounds better, it's a straight up overall improvement that brings in a boatload of new maps. However, after playing just the first one, Sanatorium, I'm sensing an oncoming issue that I think is going to haunt the vast majority of games in this genre. This is another one where Slender teleports around the place to catch you off guard and lodge you in a trap. Not necessarily a problem on its own, it is admittedly a little silly when he just directly follows you, and this keeps the feeling of uncertainty up. The feeling of uncertainty is the strongest point of this game, and most of these games. Again, it's the atmosphere that works, builds anxiety, has you looking over your shoulder, waiting for the moment he appears. But good horror comes from 2 different things. Building anxiety, yes, but also the payoff of panic. The longer you're kept on edge, the more jumpy you're rendered, the stronger the panic when you finally do come face to face with that thing that's been stalking you. The adrenaline-fueled rush to choose fight or flight, pick your move to try and survive when you only have a split second and shaking hands. Slenderman doesn't have the panic step. It skips straight from build-up to relief of tension. You wait and you wait and you wait, ready to see him around every corner, and then... Oh, there he is. Okay, cool. I'll just look away. Oh, he got me? Damn, that's annoying. As soon as you see him, you either live or you lose. So, I think the best Slenderman game is Alien Isolation. When the alien arrives, you don't just die, you build all that tension, and you know that when it finds you, that tension will suddenly break into you having to run, dodge, hide, fight, or lose everything. That keeps you on edge every time you have that monster stalking around you. Without the panic payoff, the atmosphere loses its luster. The uncertainty is all gone after the first time. I know what happens if he gets me. Nothing. Actually, it turns out, looking away is exactly the opposite of what you want to do. I did some googling around, and there seems to be one single strategy that can help you beat Slenderman, and it's arguably more of an exploit. He cannot move when you are looking in his direction. Whether you can see him or not is irrelevant. As long as your camera could see him if you had X-ray vision, he's stuck in place. So what you need to do is get a wall between him and you, and then back and strafe your way around the map. Beyond that, it's a game of memorizing the page's spawn locations. After some more gameplay, I can tell you that using this strategy does make this a lot more of a game. You can't always be looking in his direction, you need to turn and see what's around you every now and again. You end up walking as far as you can while keeping him roughly in your theoretical view, and then you scramble to find what you need before he catches back up with you. It was always disappointing when he'd catch you though. I think it's a matter of looking at him too long, and the closer he is, the shorter that window is. There'd be times when he'd just basically spawn in front of me and land an instant kill. Let's do a brief discussion and ranking of each of the maps in Slenderman Shadow. Claustrophobia. This one opens with some dialogue. Our character tells us he doesn't know where he is or how he got here.
I need to get out of here. I have the worst feeling that something is following me.
The map itself sucks. It's a giant hedge maze. You're looking for keys. There are two types of landmarks, a scattering of gazebos and the singular statue in the center. The gazebos all look identical and they denote nothing useful. The keys aren't really found near them or anything. They're just sat on little plinths, which could be anywhere amongst the hedges. The hedges are clearly one hedge asset, copy and pasted over and over again, and not very neatly. Visually, it's really boring and hard to navigate. You can kind of keep track of your location by where you are in relation to the giant statue, but that's the only slightly clever thing here. Also, this mosquito keeps buzzing around me, and it's just really not a good time, dude. Hospice. One of the lower tiers, no doubt. It's hard to navigate with very few recognizable landmarks. Have I been in this room before? Maybe. Who's to say? It also doesn't push the concept of a haunted old folks home very far. Is that what a hospice is? It's where people who are dying soon go, right? But it's supposed to be a little more friendly and less clinical than a hospital. That's a spooky place. Let's see wheelchairs, dead flowers on bedside, bodies under blankets, spilled pills. These rooms all look the same, hallways and beds. No bathrooms? These poor people probably wanted to die by the time Slender showed up. It was a mercy. Prison. Don't like prison. It's all brown walls and metal bars. I found a kitchenette at one point, but it still felt bland. Supposedly this map was added with the intent of being the hardest map so far, and I guess that translates to being the most confusing to find your way around. If that's what you're into, sure, but I want a visually interesting environment that maybe has some little bits of storytelling in it. This might be a hot take, but I'd personally rather stay out of prison. Although, maybe if I drop the soap, Daddy Slendy could finally take this relationship to the next level. Things to think about. Sanatorium. This is, for all intents and purposes, the base map. It was the one that came with the game on first release, and it's the first one on the list when you hit play. It's almost certainly the first one you'll try out, and it's definitely a middling one. There are landmarks, things like fallen vending machines, recognizable rooms, while also maintaining the feel of being lost in a maze. The lighting design is good, but overall it doesn't leave a crazy impression. 7th Street. Visually, this one is perhaps my favorite. Wandering through the towering shells of abandoned city buildings, the street signs only tell you one thing: 7th Street. And the towering corrugated walls that keep you in evoke a claustrophobia that can only exist in the meandering back alleys of city streets. The real ace in the hole here is the street lamps, their fluorescent glows haloed by a reddish bokeh. Oh man, look at the way they cool out from within the fog, like will-o'-the-wisps heralding your demise. Shame the map sucks to play though. No landmarks at all, just great brick building after boarded up shopfront. I spent like 5 minutes running around just trying to find a single page on my second attempt. Carnival. Oh, just the name gets me excited. This has to be fun. Before we begin, there's some dialogue from our character.
Sophia. My daughter. She's been missing for over a week. The police have turned up nothing in their search for her. Lately, I've been having these images, these distorted flashbacks of a nearby carnival abandoned long ago. I don't know what is drawing me to this place, but I'm going to investigate it. It may hold the key to finding my daughter.
Our daughter's been missing a week, and the police ain't found shit, so it's up to us to get to the bottom of it. We're strangely drawn to that weird carnival on the edge of town, and even more strangely, we decide to investigate in the middle of the night in the pouring rain. First question: how many popcorn and candy stores does one carnival need? The attractions are overwhelmed by the sheer number of the exact same shop. I do enjoy seeing the silhouette of a roller coaster surrounding the place, and there are landmarks to be found here. The toilets were the only reliable place I managed to find a page, but there's abandoned vehicles with their headlights on, the occasional shooting range and Ferris wheel. I'm a little disappointed everything is just dark and run down again though. What an exciting change it would have been to see this whole place lit up and running with not a soul in sight. Lights and sounds galore. That would have been fun. I guess it's a bit out of the creator's ability perhaps, but one can dream. Elementary. This one's good. First off, it intros with a reading of A Ring Around the Rosies, nice switch up and a tone setter. Then the place itself has some fun design. These landmarks are clear, but also just fun to see. You can see the fog-filled world outside through the windows as you walk through old classrooms. Things are written in blood on the chalkboards. You can even go outside into the courtyard. I feel spoiled. This time we're collecting teddy bears, not notes. Functionally they're the same as pages, but we love a flavor change. Mansion. This one gives us a hint at the deal when we load in, hitting us with a text explanation. We are a man who has been sent into a coma by slender sickness. In our coma, we found ourselves within a mansion we used to know. Except it's different, twisted and maze-like. Within it, we must find 12 childhood memories in order to wake. This slender sickness must be where all the maps stem from. We're in the bodies of the comatose who've been afflicted with slender sickness, a disease spread by the knowledge of Slender's existence. The map itself is really good. There's 3 levels, upstairs, downstairs, and neither upstairs nor downstairs. The basement is under construction, walls unpainted, electrical boxes and boilers chilling out around the place. Upstairs and the in-between floor are lavish oak and mahogany-lined rooms adorned with red trim. We can see out the windows to the world cloaked in cloud and rainfall. Thunder booms through the building's old bones and can sometimes jump scare you itself. The memories you're looking for can be a touch hard to identify. Sometimes I'd just be checking random incidental objects to see if I could pick them up or not. But I won't let that bring it down too much. Christmas special. Best one, hands down. Just wonderful. Look at this snowman I found. I'm collecting presents to the sound of a Jingle Bells Turbo remix. What's not to love? Okay, realistically, this one's still really hard to navigate between all these giant Christmas present buildings, but I appreciate the levity. This probably should actually go between Sanatorium and 7th Street, but come on. I've got to give it points for fun every now and again. Also, this genuinely scared the shit out of me.
Merry Christmas.
I should say that I'm playing all these in the middle of the night with all the lights off and the sound way up for the best experience, and I'm still completely unfazed by the scares. I'm not that tough. You'll know that if you watch the Minecraft Horror Retrospective. Because that makes... Fuck! That was so genuine. Oh, fuck. Scared the shit out of me. So, in total, what do we reckon to Slenderman's Shadow? All these maps have to count for something, don't they? They're not all perfect, but there's some unique stuff in here. Some great sound design, lighting design, pieces of world building. Even if the scares and gameplay are quite lackluster, I'm happy sneaking this into A tier. I mean, I played it for far longer than any of the others and never got bored. If you wanted to find out what Slenderman games are supposed to be, this wouldn't be a bad place to start. Slenderwave and the 8 Vibes is a synthwave-styled Slenderman game. You start off in a pizzeria arcade flooded in neon purple lights. Look around a little bit and you'll find the game cabinets. They don't have Time Crisis 4, but I found Polybius. The real draw of this arcade, though, is the cabinet called Slenderwave and the 8 Vibes, because it is the only one you can play. Approaching it will take you to a world of dreamlike 80s retrofuturism. Take a look around at all the lights and sounds. Okay, actually, when you first load in, you can't really see shit. It's way too dark. But one thing that I really like about this game is that as you collect vibe checks, these giant white beverage containers, the world gets more visually interesting. Objects appear in the sky and loom against the faint purple tinge of the cosmos. I'm also clearly a really little guy, perhaps a child or Tom Cruise. I can barely see over the counter. The monster chasing us isn't your standard Slendaddy either. It's a white-skinned and suited limper. While he's not too hard to avoid, I like that he had the ability to move because it meant when he would teleport near me, I'd have to turn and run. Sometimes I'd be checking out a building I suspected might contain my next vibe check and boop, there he would be, forcing me to circle around and come back to check the place later. I even beat this one. It took 2 attempts, but I found this was the one so far I was most interested to defeat because each pickup revealed a little bit more about the world awash in neon. Picking up all the soda cups showed me a cutscene of party mode Slender running around for a bit, and then I found myself back in the arcade, now with the ability to head outside. I was hoping I could hop in a car, but that would be ridiculous. No way Tom's little legs could reach the pedals. I need Xenu to grant me a personal chauffeur. This was kind of it. The game just eventually faded out. I do wish some more of these would embrace inventive scares and fourth wall breaks like the Sonic.exe games did. Slenderwave and the 8 Vibes was fresh and unique, while not being a complete joke or scare-free. I'll pop it in the top of B tier, but I definitely considered an A. Slenderman's universe by Masterboy's World, as is declared on the main splash page so large I thought it was a strange alternate title, is certainly one of the Slenderman games, one of the ones that probably isn't finished, First thing to note, the hitboxes for the menu options aren't lined up even close to correctly and are substantially smaller than the words you're attempting to click. Once you do load into the game on the first of the 2 maps, you'll notice that your flashlight has 2 settings. Now you might think, of course it has 2 settings, on and off, but this flashlight is built different. This flashlight has normal mode and spotlight mode, I'll choose to call it. It's not useful in any way, and I'm dubious how intentional it is, but the instructions do refer to right-click as switch light, so I guess it must be. The first encountered obstacle, Little House, is totally serviceable, but I've got to say, the following landmark, door with no frame in the middle of nowhere with no rhyme or reason, is somewhat puzzling. Polystyrene fortress entered by a ramp made out of a creepy PNG is also somewhat out of place, but at least Car and Car 2 seem to be about right. Slenderman does seem to be back on his teleport randomly around and hope you walk into me game plan, which doesn't provide a huge challenge. The second map, Cornfield, does really get inventive though, first off by obscuring my entire vision with both heaps of corn and my camera phone, and in fairness, the idea of navigating via camera phone a la Outlast is a neat concept. Maybe if I could only see Slenderman on this device, or you could only see him through the corn with it or something, there'd be potential, but I simply walked into him multiple times. I think that's what happened anyway, it's hard to say on account of all the corn. The maps are both bordered in large part by invisible walls, despite having plenty of visible mountain range also bordering. And the only other thing of real note is the menu music, which is the song This Night by Black Lab. Apparently this song was featured in Season 6 of The Shield, an episode of House and the show Banshee. I've never heard of it. I'm not sure what else to say. D. Slenderman Must Die Sanatorium is a riff on the classic formula, making clear reference to the Slenderman Shadow Map Sanatorium, but spelling it incorrectly, possibly on purpose, possibly not, it's a hard word. This is the original version made by Poison7797, though there is a notable updated version made in 2021. What makes this game special is your goal. Instead of entering the sanatorium in order to... I don't know, what exactly did we want to do in Slenderman Shadow? Leave? Whatever the case, now we're here armed and dangerous sporting our M1911, and if you look around carefully, a shotgun. Don't use the shotgun though, you can rip 9 rounds out of the semi-automatic pistol faster than 3 rounds required to kill Slendy from the shoddy. What I really like about this game, much as it sounds like a shitpost, and kind of is a shitpost, is that the map is not an empty place with one Slenderman whose rules are unclear and teleports are untelegraphed. Every item and pickup, which includes a set of keys, unrefrigerated milk, and very sloppy-sounding burgers, are in set positions. Even more fun is that Slenderman is in set positions, spawning specifically when you move to certain locations. You can of course memorize these spots, memorize the whole map, and that adds a satisfaction when you 180 the lanky mad lad who thought he had the drop on you in an ambush and drop a clip of bullets into him. Oh, it's a magazine, not a clip. I don't care, buddy. I just like the sound it makes when I click. Bang, 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 bang. The pages are quite hard to locate in some spots. I did, I'll admit, look up a walkthrough because I thought I was missing something, but I just hadn't accounted for how well hidden they'd be. I checked the back of this fridge at one point just in case, but I didn't take the extra step right and check the back of the door. Very devious. The info dump when you hit play explains that we're getting all the pages to banish Slenderman, and we need all of them to face him proper. He does pop up repeatedly as we run around, as I said, and ragdolls like a little bitch when I murk his tight little ass. The statement that I'd need to be real careful with my ammo throughout the game also had me prepared for one final boss fight when I got to page 8, but the screen instead cuts to black and we hear a tussle. Who lived? Who died? You decide. And I'll see you in the... Holy shit, what are there, 7 sequels? Well, that's going to be half the video sorted then, saves me having to dig around Game Jolt too long. I've got to say, I really enjoyed this stupid little game. I'll check out at least some of the sequels in the 2021 update before this is over. Let's pop this straight in at, believe it or not, A tier. Pikachu's Bizarre Adventure is admittedly not really a Slenderman game, but come on buddy, loosen up, grab life by the horns, go outside, feel the grass, smell the air, kill a man, like and subscribe, pledge your allegiance to the great Lord Ongathorpe. He will purge the sinner! Play as Pikachu in this RPG Maker game designed by ShadowMuffin98. It is Pikachu's first day at his new school. Arriving in Slenderman's class, he is introduced to his new schoolmates, Sans and Papyrus from Undertale, Foxy from FNAF, Goose from Untitled Goose Game, Bendy from The Ink Machine, and Nikki from You May Nikki. Slenderman calls us kawaii, and Papyrus flips his shit because he hates weebs. We then battle our classmates, except Goose, who can do naught but quack, and Nikki, who seems really bummed out about something, don't know what's going on there. Make sure you take the apple off of Slenderman's desk. It is imperative you eat this apple before you leave this room to restore health. Once you defeat or lose your classmates, they'll bounce out of there, mostly through the front door, but Sans hops through the wall. Outside, Slenderman and Papyrus get into a fight, and Papyrus shoots him with spaghetti from a tank to end his weeby ways. Slenderman changes clothes and battles us, losing because we ate his apple, and at this point, it's a good idea to save, which I know you can do now, sorry about last time. On our way home, we're accosted by a bunch of Oreo thugs, but we can overcome them by eating all the trash to restore health and mana. In town, I bought some equipment for Pikachu and picked up dinner, beer and bread. Needn't have bothered though, because you can just steal Slenderman's off his dining table and he'll respawn it endlessly. Eventually I found an empty house which I assume is mine, but it could be Nikki's and she's practicing parkour on the roof. I tried to check out Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, but there's no staff, and the place kinda seems like a shithole. 1-star TripAdvisor review for them. I sleep until the next day and meet Joseph and George from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. They're looking for Dio, so we head into the school for some reason and start barging into every class in the very specific order George will let us. We meet Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, Game Theory Man, Ugandan Knuckles, Mr. Chief, and some anime guy before finding that Slenderman has been replaced by Dio. We fight and kill our teacher in front of his class and the day is saved. The screen cuts to black, and I can do naught but open the menu. I eat some pokey and consider my life choices. I give the game a C. At least it did not use any slurs. Slender Anxiety is a little disappointing. Made by Hades Production and using, to my understanding, the same engine as a game called Slender the Arrival, which we will of course be getting to later, if you know you know. With over 3,000 GameDrop followers and being one of the Slender games Markiplier actually played, this game looks fantastic. It also contains 2 maps, the base forest level and an unlockable level Aporia, which sees you in some kind of underground bunker. The aesthetics here are on point. Not only is it graphically wonderful, but the direction with lighting, stylization, and sound is top-notch. We've got the rustling of things moving through the undergrowth, like in Slenderman the 8 Pages, but also sounds based on locations, things like flares on the ground hissing away, streams trickling by, your footsteps changing as you move from dirt to concrete. Slender himself is an odd boy in this one. He teleports around you, getting progressively harder as the game lasts. Your view is through a video camera, and thus the static makes a lot of sense. Slender's presence messes with the equipment. He is very easy to avoid in the early parts of the game. Just run when you see static, turn if you see him. But at a certain point, he'll become so aggressive it becomes rather hard to deal with him, appearing in front of you over and over every 20 to 30 seconds, which is especially annoying when it makes it so challenging to see. Also making it difficult to see is your weird flashlight, which works great when there's a source of light nearby, but once you're deep into the empty woods, it seems to spray out stray light beams like I'm trying to take a piss with an erection. For those who don't get what that means, let's just say I ruined that poor girl's bathroom, and she started locking her windows at night. The real issue with this game, though, is how large the map is. It is sprawling, to the point where you might find yourself running around blind for 10 minutes at a time without finding a page. The first playthrough I attempted went unusually well, and I got 4 pages, I think it was, before I was cornered, but the second and third times, which went on for over 15 minutes apiece, I found 1 and 2 respectively. They didn't spawn in reliable locations. All the landmarks where they can be found have several different spots for the pages to spawn in, and there's also a good chance they won't spawn there at all because of the sheer number of landmarks. This game's presentation alone had me so excited, and I immediately pegged it as at least an A tier, but after more time, I'm not sure. It looks good, but what else is there? I've got over an hour of footage and very little to say of my experience. I was really under the impression for a while that if you saw orange lighting, such as a flare or campfire, there would be a page nearby. That is a smart move. It means that while I might still have to search to find the exact location, I don't have to desperately waste time unsure if this maze of tents has a little piece of A4 blue tacked up somewhere. Blue light means no page today, red light means you're in luck. But no, I don't think so. I think you just have to check every spot, and it will take you, I'd estimate, the better part of an hour without a full guide and understanding of the map and strategies. I didn't get to Aporia, of course. I never got even close to unlocking it. I was so hoping for something different here, so much promise, such good presentation. Let it be a linear game, have Slenderman appear where he's planned to, build me an experience, and stop slapping basic mechanics together and hoping roar is gonna scare me, because after playing several hours of these games, it ain't. So yeah, all in all, I can't recommend this if I'm being honest. I'm very conflicted between B and C here, but I think I'm going to say C. The original game sits in B, and that's just a more worthwhile experience, in my opinion. You won't waste all that time. Slenderman the 8 Pages, the sequel, is made by The Jewelry, and I swear I had no idea it was an RPG Maker game when I downloaded it. Not that it matters, I suppose. I have no regrets, and if I see another RPG Maker Slenderman, I'm going to download that one too. Why? Because at least I'm not blindly running around the woods looking for shit-ass artwork. 8 Pages, the sequel, sets us in the shoes of Slenderman. He awakes at his home, ready to start the weekend. As he heads downstairs, the sweet sound of laughter dances upon the cool summer air. This is Slender Boy and Slender Girl, Slenderman's children, and they've drawn him some pictures. Sure, they're slightly ominous, but the kids worked hard on them. Slenderman wants to prove how proud of their creativity is, and so he decides to hang up the children's artwork in the woods. He pops them onto trees and, oh yeah, there's no gameplay, this is basically a short film. He pops them up onto the trees and prepares to head home, satisfied with a hard 30 seconds work complete. But what's that? Footsteps. A man is here and he's tearing down the kids' artwork. No, Slenderman, do something. The kids will be so disappointed. But in his zealousness to protect the children's feelings, he's gone too far. Oh God, he's killed the man. And before he can get the pieces hung back up again, what's this? Dancing on the breeze, it's laughter. The familiar laughter of children. Slender Boy and Slender Girl. They're here, so excited to see their drawings hung up by their proud and doting father. As he looks into their beaming faces, his mind rolls back. He remembers the court hearing when he and Slender Woman had settled for their divorce. Slender Woman gets the kids for the weekdays, and he for the weekends. As the hearing had ended, he'd told her he was sorry for everything, but it was too late now. He remembers her knocking at his door the last time. Her face is weary and filled with faint sorrow. Perhaps it's pity. Slenderman, she says. They've been talking to me. About you. They're saying you're hardly ever there. Talking, playing, Christ, interacting. Slenderman, you're not being a dad. The disappointment in her voice, it's unbearable. She loved you once. You danced and sang and talked the nights away without a fear in the world. The future could never have been brighter. Her voice rings like thunder from a pitch-black sky, searing a hole through your pathetic excuses. You don't see your children because you're always working. In all our time together, I never felt loved. Not truly, because you weren't married to me, you were married to your job. I've never seen you not wearing that fucking suit. You beg your heart to form a protest, but she's right. Once again, you just aren't good enough. Never have been, have you? The silence hangs a moment before she speaks again. I want you to be a part of their lives. Our children's lives. I want their father to be there. Yeah, me too, you stutter. She gives you one more chance. It's more than you deserve. A final time to be there for your children, to spend the time with them you've always been planning to. If not, you'll lose your custody. You can fight, but if the kids won't fight for you, what hope have you got? Slenderman, I'm seeing someone. Another bolt from the dark that knocks the wind from your chest, emptying your entire being. I'm seeing Bigfoot, she whispers. While she can't look you in the eyes, you know it's only because she doesn't want to see how much it hurts you. Of course it's Bigfoot. He's always been bigger than you, older than you. He's owned the forest since before you heard of them. And you know what they say about guys with big feet. Slenderman, they like him a lot, and I do too. Words fail you. I think if you can't be the father they need, he can. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay? Her eyes finally meet yours again. Full of tears. And then you're back in the moment. Your wonderful children in front of you, so ready to love you if you just give them the chance. But what's the point if it's all based on a lie? For the first time, in a long time, maybe ever, you tell them the truth. You put those pictures up, but a man, he came. Your voice traps in your throat and you battle to let it out. Kids, I killed a man. You killed someone, Dad? You killed someone for us? You're the best dad ever. Yeah, fuck Bigfoot. We want you.
Finally, maybe, just maybe you can make this work. You can earn their love. You can make this work. You can be happy. You'll probably never have Slender Woman back, it's true. You fucked up too hard, but maybe this, at least, can be enough. A few days later, you stare at your reflection. Maybe it's the same man. But you feel a whole lot different. You feel lighter, like the sky has finally cleared. A knock at the door. The kids, they're finally here, back for another weekend. You've already got the plan, a camping trip down to the lake where you and your brother used to skip stones and ride your bikes in the summer. Oh yeah, everything is going to be all right. All right, you're under arrest for the murder of Kevin Hurst. You're going to jail and you're going to die. The end. Powerful stuff. I don't know, B? I thought it was pretty funny. Slenderman Evolved is made by Aspect Ratio, apparently is their first project, and considering that, I thought it was pretty alright. I mean, let's not go crazy here, it's very simple. A big wooded area with a handful of corrugated megastructures in it. I mean, look at these. This ain't no hut. This place is wham. This would fetch $2,000 a month in London. In this, our aim is not to collect pointless pages, but to pick up Slendy's bones, place them in his grave, and burn them. The places you can find the bones are all lit up, so you can spot them quite easily through the forest, which meant I wasn't wandering around for days and days trying to get them. The bones themselves do look like they came from a whale. That suit is doing a lot to slim Slenderman down. The sprint is wicked fast. Look at me zoom, but even better, you can sprint jump and maintain all that momentum in the air without wasting stamina, so I was hopping all over the place. There is no fall damage either, so when you find the skull at the top of this giant driveway, you can take a leap off the edge. I got the bones to the coffin and headed to the labyrinth where the gas can was supposedly hidden, but that was when he got me. The moment was shocking, but the PNG of Slenderman chilling out 12 feet away from me did ruin the illusion a little bit. Also, what's going on with my hands? Am I wearing skeleton-themed biker gloves and running shorts? Okay. Also, when I stand still, I think the point light spawns behind me slightly, so all I can see is the silhouette of my own hand for the flashlight. I had another go, but I think he spawned on top of me again. And that was Slenderman Evolved into some kind of giant, by the looks. The sound design was surprisingly strong, even if the gameplay and visuals were par for the course. I'll give it a C. If it were finished, I could definitely see it sneaking a B. Slenderman Must Die, Chapter 2 Dead Space, is not quite as good as the first one. Made again by Poison7977, this is, as the title suggests, more of a riff on Dead Space than Slenderman this time around. We dock to an abandoned space station in the far-flung future looking to refuel. Every crew member was mysteriously killed, but when we take a nap on board, we realize this place is far less than abandoned. It is infested with slender bug men. There are 3 weapons this time, upgrading from 2 in the first, and the basic pistol is actually the worst one. Well, it draws with the assault rifle anyway. The assault rifle takes at least the majority of your clip to land a kill, but the pistol literally shoots sideways if you're not scoped in, and it looks like a slab of raw liver. We couldn't scope up at all in the first one, so the weapons have been overhauled if you wanted to find a positive thing to say about this game. They've also added an element of verticality to give them their dues. Not just with us having to crouch through vents, but also having multiple floors and things you'll have to jump on to reach the energy cell you need. Remiss of me to complain about this, I know, but the map was shockingly simple to navigate, and I found all the energy cells and killed all the Slendermen on my first try. Actually, no, I genuinely can't complain about that. All these games take so long to play for how much actual content there is. A 15-minute hide-and-seek gun game is a blessing. I just wish the Slendermen had been a bit more threatening. I got hit by one once the entire time, and it's only because it spawned on top of me. They always make so much noise to give away their location, and they get stuck on every corner so easy. This one was too tall and dinged his head on the ceiling like that stormtrooper in Empire Strikes Back. I got all the cores, the game faded to a paragraph saying I pounded them all and left, and that was the game. I'd still give it a B, just for being decent fun and unique without wasting any of my time, but a bit more challenge could go a long way here. Should we play the next one now? I kind of want to play the next one now. Comment if you think we should play the next one now or not. I played the next one now. Slenderman Must Die Silent Forest is the best game in the series so far, and it's also the first one I didn't finish. Allow me to explain. Well, I actually don't need to, it's all in the title, really. Silent Forest. Dude, I'm so sick of wandering around the empty woods.
We start out in front of a car, pistol and ammo ready for us. The controls have changed. It's no longer E to pick up because E is used to peek corners. Unsurprisingly, Q is also used to peek corners. You can also use Z to pick up and move objects around. If there's one thing keeping me engaged by this series, it's that every game brings marked new improvements. You can tell Poison learned something new from each entry, improving their skill and game design every time, and now I really want to see where this goes. By entry 8, this is going to be a AAA game. We have even more weapons this time, adding the AK as an alternative to the shotgun, and we can only hold 3 weapons at a time, meaning you have to choose what you want to bring. Sprinting with weapons now has an animation, the graphics are noticeably stronger, the shotgun actually reloads by adding in each shell. As soon as you walk off the spawn area, you can see across the whole woods, and there's a fire in the middle to give you an immediate place to go. I gave the game 2 attempts, and the first time I went into this little shack and grabbed the assault rifle, Slenderman jumped me, and I got him just in time. The second go round, 2 Slendermen spawned, and I had to fight for my life. The game now has some element of randomness, and that little bit of chaos kept me on my toes. He did kill me in 1 shot, which did feel slightly unfair, but I did ask for a challenge, I guess. He is very easy to move away from and duck around, so in a way I only have myself to blame. The big problem with this game is the setting. This big, stupid, open forest. I just wish every location had a light source to help me find it. At least, and this is very thin compliment at this stage, but at least in other Slenderman games you can bump into Slenderman in the big empty woods. This game still only spawns Slenderman in specific spots, and he screams at you, so he's not hard to find. The forest in between each landmark ends up being a walking sim at best, but one with nothing to actually see or experience in the world. Just tree after tree. I got to 6 pages and then spent an extremely boring time wandering from shack to shack, finding that I'd already been in them. Let's give this a B again, but I am very invested in where this game series is going.
Slender Home Sweet Home was made in 2023 by Teo Dev. I say it was made in 2023, that's when the last update came out, and the video playthrough the creator uploaded was that January, so I'm having to guesstimate. Guesstimate is a weird made-up word, right? Because every estimate is a guess. That's what that means. What's the difference between a run-of-the-mill estimate and his unhinged brother, the guesstimate? Home Sweet Home is the first game I've ever downloaded for one of these videos that was an actual installation. Normally I download the game, most of the time it has to be unzipped and then it's ready to go, but this naughty little number ran a full installation. It had the downright confidence to ask if I wanted to make a desktop shortcut. This is the Slenderman game she told you not to worry about. It opens with a short cutscene where Michael wakes up off the floor, that's what I assume this camera angle is conveying, and he sees a note from someone called Andrea on the door. She's gone to the forest, and he shouldn't come looking for her. Once we arrive in the forest looking for her, the amount of bloom makes you slightly nauseous, and you notice it's not nighttime. We scramble over a fence like Liam Neeson and pick up our camera. As we walk, the sun lays down its weary head, drifting off to the view of us checking out some abandoned huts to no avail, until we find this strange garage with several buttons on the walls. Pressing them all opens up a storage room where a single note is pinned up. Find me. The game looks and sounds awesome already. High-res textures, long shadows of dusk, wind whistling through the grass. Grabbing the notes causes Michael to stand dead still for 20 minutes until night has fallen and he decides he should probably do something. He heads into the nearby compound, surrounded by a wire fence. The sign at the entrance marks several locations and a scribbling of a long, faceless man in the center. The markings on the map correspond to nothing and can be ignored. This area contains 7 notes, bringing Michael's collected total to 8. Novel, I know. When you collect the first one, Slender will spawn. Looking at him too long will make the camera go and getting too far away from him will make him teleport and your camera go The area you collect the notes in is nice and small. You're not running hopelessly into the night with your fingers crossed you bump into anything but a tree. Slenderman is wickedly aggressive, and as several people note on the game's itch.io and GameJolt pages, once you get to somewhere around 5 or 6 pages, the game becomes basically impossible to beat. You can only run about 4 feet at a time, and Slendy can outpace your sprint speed anyway. These people do not know the hacks. I, however, am somewhat of a Slenderman expert myself. You literally need to peek stun him to survive. Remember that thing from the 8 pages where you quickly look at him and look away over and over again and stop him from moving because he's shy? That's why he puts on that suit. He just wants to make a good impression. Okay, he's eaten a couple kids, but who hasn't? It's present year, people, come on.
It did take the better part of an hour to figure out this strategy, and I really would have given up if I hadn't seen a level select in the menu. I felt it was wrong to try and give an overview of the game without playing some more, and I have to say, I'm glad I did. Using the strategy, I managed to gather all the pages, at which point the big guy disappeared. For a few moments, everything was calm, and then this little goober ran across the hill and sparked me out. Michael awakes underground, hazily walking around. He locates his keys, unlocks his cell, grabs his camera, finds some dynamite, and blows himself the fuck up. Awaking once again in his cell, he releases himself once more, picks his camera up again, and thinks twice before pressing the button that blows up all the dynamite. Instead, he moves it all to this other place and sets it off there, which is what I reckon he should have done the first time. Obviously. What kind of idiot would make that mistake? As he progresses further into the complex, he sees Slenderman out the corner of his eye. Something goes skittering across his path, and as he finds his flashlight, he hears that skittering coming up behind. He dashes ahead, finding a room with a metal door and slamming it shut, locking the creature outside. A nearby hatch leads him outside, where a car is parked up, ready for him. I assume it's his car, but maybe he just Grand Theft Auto's some guy who pulled over to take a leak? I have missed one important factor of this level, which is that it inevitably crashes just before the chase begins. Reliably, I couldn't progress beyond that point. That's why I went and pulled up the developer's playthrough in the first place, so I could see what I was missing. Back at his flat, Michael has laid out the notes he found when his TV begins to act weird. It begins to display static. He knocks back a handful of pills when a knock comes at the door. No one's there, but when he returns to his coffee table, the notes are scattered. His TV's back on, and all of a sudden... Oh fuck, it's Jeff the... Slenderman. Michael bolts awake, surrounded by the white walls and ceiling of a clinical ward. The screen fades to black, and credits play. Did anyone else notice Michael doesn't have any legs? They are not under that sheet. Completing the game also unlocks Slenderman. Slenderman? Completing the game also unlocks day mode. What's a Slenderman game without day mode? You have no real reason to play in day mode, but it's nice to have. And that's Slender Home Sweet Home. By far the least fun and most extensive part of the game is the note collecting section, but all the linear sections around it were really strong. The note bit actually is somewhat enjoyable once you use that peeking strat, and you have unlimited time to walk around and find all the pages before you grab the first one. If you remove the 44 minutes I counted of attempts before I realized the move you have to use in order to win, it only took me about 15 minutes and 2 deaths, which I reckon is about the perfect length for a Slenderman game. If it simply conveyed the strategy to you, I think this would probably be the perfect Slenderman game. We get some story, some challenge, some bugs. Okay, yes, some game-breaking bugs. But still, this is, in my opinion, the best game we've played and watched so far. And I am happy to put this in as my S tier for the moment. Maybe it will lose that spot, but hey, it's a guesstimate. Have you ever wanted to play a cross between Resident Evil and Pokemon Snap? I present to you PSX Slenderman. Made by Coviera Dev, this is a reimagining of the Slenderman gameplay recreated in the style of a PS1 game. The Resident Evil comparison, of course, comes from the fixed camera angle and tank controls, both disorienting and giving the feeling someone is watching the character from a hidden corner, which, of course, they are. And I don't just mean you, I mean Slender. The man in the suit will appear in a new location for every camera angle, not necessarily every time there's a new camera angle, but always in the same spot depending on the camera angle. Am I making sense? The Pokemon Snap comparison comes from how you keep him at bay, by papping him up. Whenever he's caught in the camera's flash, he'll run away, making this a game of spotting him on each screen and managing to point the camera at him before static builds up and he grabs you. The result of all this? Where's Waldo Slenderman? Now, obviously, the presentation and style is incredible. The dev had a vision and they brought it to life. No notes. The sound is fine, nothing to really report on that front. The gameplay is fun, not too challenging, but challenging enough you'll probably die a couple of times before you get to 8 notes, because yes, we are once again collecting notes. The whole experience probably takes about 15 minutes, so it lands into the sweet spot I laid out in the last one perfectly. The only flaw is that sometimes I'd take a photo of him and the game wouldn't count it, but from where I was watching it looked like he was entirely in frame. I would love to see some more maps in this thing, because the one and only level is really good, but this is a very streamlined experience. There's not just no other levels, there's no menu, not a main menu, not even a pause menu, and that leads to my other issue, the controls. I'm not dissing the tank controls, those are perfect. I mean that I can't rebind the controls, and as a lefty I would really like to. Sprinting is the shift key, turning and moving is WSD, right click aims the camera and left takes a photo. So, to sprint around I have to have my thumb on shift, index on A, middle on S and W, and ring on D. This kung fu grip is not natural, it's like I'm setting up to deliver the whooshy finger hold to my keyboard. This game is definitely a recommend to Slenderman fans. It could definitely knock Home Sweet Home off the top spot if it had a bit more content. When you beat the game, it doesn't even fade out, it just asks if you want to play again or bounce back to the desktop. Even the page counter stays at 7 out of 8, that just feels disrespectful. This is absolutely a solid A. I wish I could play more of this instead of whatever garbage I'm about to dredge up next. Welcome to the garbage I dredged up next. Slender Massage Parlour is developed by No Guard, apparently as part of a competition with his friend. We are Slenderman, and we are to massage this person. We have two controls, Q and E, and when we press either one, our score increases, at first by 1, but as each day passes at the massage parlour, we unlock augmentations to our massage prowess. The day's length is on a timer, and when it ends, we get the options of increasing our points per click, doubling them, increasing the length of the timer for each day, or making the one-time purchase of adding extra tentacles to the massage mix and accessing the W key. Each item has a price in points, and as stated, each key press scores those points. Spoiler alert, you want to focus on increasing your points per press for the speedrun strategy. I earned the 666,666 points required for tentacles on day 12, and by day 16 I had earned 2.452027 to the 8 points. Try and beat that high score, losers. This is A tier, right? I was entertained for my entire experience, which, yes, was only 8 minutes, but still. Add some more modifier options and turn this into a full roguelike and we've got potential here. Slenderman Must Die Silent Streets is the best one so far. I blew that fucker away! The first map is a play on 7th Street from Slenderman's Shadow, except this parody is genuinely more fun and more complex. We only have the pistol and shotgun to play with this time, but honestly that's fine because, I'll reiterate, this game's new special trick, ladders. The verticality evolves. The pages are all very easy to find, but each one of course spawns a random number of Slendermen. Their AI remains running directly at you and being unable to navigate around obstacles, but firing the guns is so satisfying I really don't think I care. If you beat Silent Streets and want more, which yes I do, you can play Silent Streets Day. Is it any different? Absolutely not. Do I care? Literally not at all. Bang, 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 bang. And if you're still hungry for more, you fat, disgusting filth. The game also comes with Christmas Special. The entry text wall explains we have to kill Slenderman and his evil companions, and as soon as I clapped eyes on that gingerbread man, I knew it was time for that sussy little bucker to die. You can't trick me, so I blew him to kingdom come. There's 7 presents to collect. We start with both weapons and 999 ammo apiece, and Slenderman makes jingle bell noises the whole time. The backing track is a dark version of the Christmas song. You know the one? You know, the one, what is that one? Carol of the Bells. I googled it. It's Carol of the Bells. I could remember of the bells, but not the carol. I guess you could say it rang a bell. A tier. Merry Christmas. Time to flip a coin to see if I play the next one next. I didn't flip shit, bitch. I just played it. Things have evolved. Slenderman Must Die Chapter 5 is the best one so far. We begin in a valley with a melee weapon, first melee weapon in the franchise, and we are introduced to a new enemy, the soldier. He's packing an MP5 or something, I don't know guns, but conk his brains in with the crowbar and jack his shit. From here we want to pick up 3 keycards to gain access to the underground bunker. To get them we have to gun down a whole lot of innocent men who are probably just doing their jobs. Slenderman is also here a couple times and he takes more bullets than the soldiers, but he has less guns to shoot me with. There are openable cupboards in which we can find one of the key cards and openable filing cabinets in which we can find absolutely nothing. Gun your way through the bullet sponges and enter the underground bunker. Your new task is to find 8 DVDs with proof of Slenderman's existence on them. Even though his corpse is here, apparently that is not enough. And don't ask why we didn't bring our own camcorder, because the answer is we would have avoided unneeded bloodshed. And I hate avoiding unneeded bloodshed. Down here, there are new enemies and a new way to make the red stuff come out of them. The light machine gun holds a whole bunch of pew-pew-pews in its Clip. The new enemies are pistol-wielding soldiers who take a lot more pellets to finish off, and the Uber Slendermen, who actually do less damage than the normal ones but are tougher and stealthier. Making your way through the place is pretty simple. There are a couple barriers to shoot through, a couple jump scares, and it all leads to the tomato and baked beans room where you can find one last DVD. Or it would be the last of them if I hadn't missed to and had to look up a Let's Play by this fun British man with cool baked bean facts.
Us British love our beans. Rumour has it that 95% of the baked bean industry is consumed by the British. Oh sure, as soon as I say that you try and shoot me. Is it really that bad?
Thanks, buddy. Once I'd got my evidence, it was time to leave, but a whole bunch of dudes spawned behind me and they seemed to be friends with Slenderman, so I guess they weren't innocent after all. Shame. We also have the ability to go prone, but the most exciting feature I discovered was time slow. Bang. 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 After we war crimed our way back to the bunker entrance, we made our escape and saved the day. Until the next chapter. Another A from me, dude. Now we've got story, changing objectives, different enemy types. I do wish we had the pistol. I miss that little guy. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I got a little tired of just machine gunning dudes, especially because it didn't seem to work at long range. Next, I'd like some kind of bolt action or marksman rifle, please. And if we don't dolphin dive before this series is over, I'll eat my... I don't know, my keyboard, I guess. I don't know.
Slenderman Dark Nightmare is made by Coyote, and in it you wander aimlessly around the woods hoping to stumble across Slenderman's kids' drawings. Guys, I gotta tell ya, I just took a week off working on this video to play Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and I don't think any game could apply a more stark contrast to how underwhelming the basic gameplay of the entire Slenderman genre really is. Like, look at this menu. This looks pretty good, doesn't it? We're looking through a camera at a Slenderman lit partially by fire, the rest of him lost in shadow. The game's title is having issues with its vertical sync and looks so carefully designed. How professional does this look? Alright, now, do you want to see a guy run around pointing a lightsaber into the empty woods for 25 minutes? And don't think the fact that I called it a lightsaber makes it sound cool. It's not, it's just another stupid torch that barely works. Alright, now do you want to see the moon? That is one crusty JPEG. Okay, alright, the game is only supposed to be in alpha, so yes, it lacks polish, but the gameplay is also completely uninspired. I mean, what do you want me to say? You can sprint and it doesn't ever run out, which I think I actually appreciate at this point. Better than the 12 feet of running you normally get before being winded. The textures honestly look pretty good too. Yeah, sure, it's a little odd. I'm the same height as this table, but maybe I'm a child. Maybe that's why my hand looks so spool. In terms of map design, this is also better than a lot of others. Everything is connected by paths, and the main landmarks are covered in, for some reason, exploded flaming barrels. It's certainly irregular, but at least I can actually find the landmarks. All the landmarks are enormous buildings, and even finding the page once you get in them is a challenge. Also, the player character might be able to run endlessly, but he crawls up the stairs like a paraplegic. You know what, though? None of that's my favorite part. Here was my introduction to Slenderman. I mean, that dude is going on an adventure. Look at him flying around the block. Controls-wise, there's some interesting stuff going on here too, because while most of it is normal, using E zooms in and the scroll wheel raises and lowers your camera's ISO, meaning the game's exposure. The brightness, in practice. And when Slenderman finally gets his grubby little mitts on you, what terror befalls you? So you want to do that shit again, or no? Okay, alright, let's get our expectations in check, Lorian. Let's be fair here. I'd give this a B. It's a decent effort at the basic Slenderman concept. It's not finished, not that it's ever going to be. It has some strong things, it has some stuff that needs work. I'll give it a B. What's next?
SlendMarcy is made by Fiaco YouTube and is the first installation of a 3-part series. Now, one thing to note with this game is that it's entirely in Russian. Fortunately, there's no story, as this is a Slender clone, and all I have to do is navigate the menus, which is pretty manageable. As I arrive into this weird little world, I'm not sure what to expect. It looks pretty jank, yes, but honestly, the jankier the game is, the more unnerving they can be. Somewhere in the distance, I can hear a voice, and as I move around, it becomes clear. It's coming from somewhere specific. The skybox is a very bright morning orange in one corner and completely pitch black in the other, which means standing in the southeastmost point and looking at the rest of the world, you can see nothing, and from the northwest corner, you can see the silhouette of everything. I find a couple of sheets but can't hold back my curiosity forever. What is that sound? So, this is Marcy, and I'm not going to lie, there's something quite intimidating about this setup despite how silly it is. She's like a witch from Left 4 Dead, and not a threat until you get close, but once you do, all hell breaks loose. Or it would if she didn't glitch out and get stuck in place with her chase music playing like her ringtone. I gave her a wide berth and calmly collected her completely blank sheets of paper in the warm glow of sunrise. The game does have a couple different map options, and the second one is on some kind of rusty submarine backrooms. Again, I can hear Marcy somewhere in the distance repeating, "Pikachu? Pikachu?" over and over again. I grab the papers I can, but I'm slowly forced to explore closer and closer to her until... Dun dun dun, too close. I ran, and I run fast as fuck in this game, but the map's small. Marcy might be relentless if she doesn't glitch out, and it doesn't take long for me to get cornered. I try to make a run for it, but... Is there some kind of joke I'm missing here? Like, is Marcy a meme? I could be wrong, but isn't she like a Roblox Sailor Moon or something? I tried to translate the game jolt page, but Google said no, it's too cursed. That said, change Marcy into an actual scary monster, and there's genuinely something a little creepy hidden in here. It's only getting a C, I'm not crazy, but for how bad this shit looks, it has its moments. And it's available for download on Android. If you want something to play and you don't have a PC, well, I mean, you probably shouldn't. I guess you could, though. Haunted Memories, aka Haunt, aka Haunted Memories The Return, aka Haunt the Real Slenderman Game, aka Slenderman's Big Day Out, aka Slenderman Age of Ultron, aka Slenderman Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla, aka Please Kill Me, is made by Forever Entertainment, and I played it because I decided to Google what the best Slenderman game was, and this was the only one on the Reddit thread that wasn't the one we're going to play last. This one's really unique. You're not going to be prepared for this one. I hope you're ready. They got really creative, so just be prepared. In this game, you wander around the woods in the dark with a flashlight finding pieces of paper while Slenderman fucking teleports around with no rhyme or reason until you decide you've had enough of this shit and you decide he can just fucking have you because I'm so tired, man. I'm so tired. So, I've come to realize I hate Slenderman games. No, actually, it's more than that. I've come to learn that the base concept of what a Slenderman game is bad. Have you ever watched one of those videos by like an engineering YouTuber or any kind of challenge YouTuber where they try out all the fan-suggested ideas people comment all the time? And the ideas sound cool when you read it, but the video is specifically there to make the point that it's a bad idea because once you get past the concept and into execution, it's clearly fundamentally flawed, it has no longevity, there's nowhere to go with it, it just won't make a good full-fledged experience in practice. Slenderman is like that, but you ask loads of people what they think the scariest game would be, and you made it for the specific purpose of pointing out why it's actually a bad idea. Like, you ask them and they'd say, okay, it's gonna be in the dark, and it's raining, and you're all alone, and you don't know where you are, and you can't see very well, and you're like lost in the woods, and you're being chased by a monster, but like it's not chasing you, it's like stalking you, like it could get you at any time, and you just keep seeing it out the corner of your eye, but you can't ever get a good look at it. And you're running around, having to find something, but you're lost, and it keeps getting closer, and at any moment it might get you, and there's nothing you can do but run, and hope you can find all the stuff you need while you're fumbling around in the dark, and your flashlight keeps going out, and you can tell he's like right behind you, and you never see him move, and he's always just watching you. Oh my god, that would be so scary. And yeah, that works for a sleepover when you're 12 and your friend is like, hey, you know what we should do? We should play Slenderman. And you're all like, oh my god, that's the scariest game ever, oh my god. And then you play it for 5 minutes, and then Slenderman gets you, and you slam the laptop shut, and your mum gives you a glass of apple juice, and you all sit and watch Babe Station together at 1 in the morning, sort of pretending you're not jerking off a little under the sleeping bags, and then you just get bored because the girls are just shaking ass on the screen and humping the sofa and talking to Johnny who the fuck on their phone that costs £15 an hour to call, and honestly, you could just steal the family iPad and watch Two Girls, One Cup, and this is kind of gay, which was a problem when you were 12 and went to an all-boys school, and honestly, I just really missed having friends because now I play fucking Slenderman games for money. Haunted Memories is pretty good, I guess. Graphically, it looks really nice. It's got really good atmosphere. There's a path between most of the landmark. The map's still way too big, and the majority of your time is just spent wandering around the very samey looking woodland, but there are signposts and stuff that help point you in the right direction. There's actually 12 pages to collect in this one. The map is so enormous, though I'm not sure I should really give it credit for that. I think my longest run may have got on for over 20 minutes, and I think I got 3 of them. As I said, Slenderman sort of teleports around at random. It might get faster the longer it's been since you found a page, but honestly, it's hard to know for sure. Actually, looking at this map and the vibes of the moment-to-moment gameplay, if this was in a Silent Hill game or an Amnesia game, this would absolutely hit, but unfortunately they put it in a Slenderman game, so it fucking sucks. Slenderman here kind of looks like the Uber Slenderman from Slenderman Must Die. Whenever you see him, he's flexing his big, thick tentacles at you like a shirtless guy on Miami Beach who really wants someone to tell him how big and moisturized he looks. I don't know if it's obvious I'm kind of losing my mind here. I'm choosing to lean into it rather than resist in the hopes that that'll provide some entertainment, because I'm really running out of things to say about these games. Or more specifically, about the good Slenderman games. A good Slenderman game is it's a really boring game that's not scary. Now, a bad Slenderman game, that at least, might be something unique. I guess I'll give this an A. It's a pretty good version of like the exact same idea we've seen 1,000 times.
Time for a palate cleanser. Let's go! Slenderman Must Die Chapter 6 Industrial Waste is made once again by Poison Games, and if I'm being truly honest, it's slightly underwhelming. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still pretty fun. I played it twice, mostly because I didn't see the instruction telling me to return to my car, because I was having too much fun dropping the AK into Slenderman, but still. Compared to the last one, this is a big step back in scope. We're back to a simple, surprisingly small map with a handful of pages to find, and each time we do, a Slenderman spawns alongside a bunch of little bug monsters. There's a little bit of setup as we hit the start button. The text immediately looks disgusting against the green background. I think the main thing the next game should update is their graphic design. There'll always be a war to fight. You are in one of them, a soldier, trying to find his way home. But somewhere in the middle of that madness, you got lost. You find yourself in the middle of an industrial area. It all looks so unreal, scary. Find 9 notes that will help you get away. But please, be aware of Slenderman.
Be aware of Slenderman. It's like an ad for a charity drive.
Did you know that every day hundreds of Slenderman die because they don't have access to clean water?
So here we are, we arrive in our Jeep, we start with a pistol and a shotgun, and we have to collect the pages. There's an AK-47 to find, there's one locked door we have to find the key for. This feels in a kind of way like a back-to-basics Slenderman Must Die, like they stripped out all of the running around the forest or whatever from the earlier games and just kept it to the hide-and-seek game with guns and monsters. There's even some jump scares back in here again, which feels like a real throwback at this point. Only other thing to note is that when we pick up our last page, it spawns a boss Slenderman and giant bug monster. They each have like twice as much health as usual, but that's still really not a problem to deal with. That's definitely good though. If we were expected to have a really drawn out fight, the problems with how basic the AI is would really have to face a reckoning. All in all, probably the least impressive Slenderman Must Die. It is technically better than the first couple entries, but it is also not doing anything we haven't seen already from the series, so I think I'm going to put it at the bottom of B tier. If I'm being honest though, I would rather play this over pretty much anything else that isn't Slenderman Must Die game. Even Home Sweet Home barely clears that, to be honest. Slenderman Wrong Place is made by fellow kids, and it's almost good. See, first off, it's got notes to find and read, a little bit of story and exploration for something that isn't Slendy's 8 pages. Those are here, don't get me wrong, we're not getting that bold with our Slenderman game, but there's a lot of extra touches in here that at this point I really appreciate. Now, allow me to tell you about the time loop I might be stuck in. It starts with that knocking at the door, and the strange white bulb rolling over and over beyond the glass. Then that sound. Paper sliding on tiles as a note slips under the door, telling me not to leave or face certain death. Whether it's a warning or a promise, I can't decide. Another note in the room kindly warns me that the monster that waits outside is far too quick to run from. My only bet is turning off my flashlight and staying dead still. In a nearby cupboard, I found the flashlight and the fuse needed to get the door working again. The first time this process took time to figure out, but this many loops deep, I've become adept. As I swing open the door and take my first few steps into whatever world lies beyond, the dark and silence is broken by the click of fluorescent tubes waking, pouring their sterile light down upon me. And this is where it happens. He appears. He walks towards me, and I'm not ashamed to say the first handful of times I saw him I was stupid. I turned and I ran, but never fast enough. Every time he got me. The note told me how to combat him though, and once I got used to the dim little world I'd been cruelly thrust into, I learned to apply its instructions. Stay still, flashlight off. He's easy to deal with, it's his friend, that's the problem. Through the first door on the left there's a note. I can't say why, but I can tell I need it if I want out, and it's 7 friends. When I turn to leave, it's always there. The other one. That clicking sound echoing as it skitters past the door and stops just slightly to the left of it, but not far enough that I can't see he's finished moving before blinking out of existence. Alright, I'm bored of this style of writing. Let me just tell you that by running around a little more, there's more offices and more notes. Some are Slenderman's 8 pages, some are little hints and instructions, and some of them just set the world up, like a couple of Easter egg notes that talk about Mark, who's lost his pliers, and John, who doesn't like his birthday cake because he is harshly critical. These are references to YouTubers, obviously Markiplier, and a guy called Harshly Critical, who changed his channel to just John Wolf at some point. Never heard of him myself. The little map, the fact that there's some puzzles and some counterplay to Slender are all extremely easy to complement when compared to the many other Slender clones, but the problem here is the other monster in this place. The weird one that awkwardly stopped outside that door. You know when it's nearby because it makes a clicking noise, but I have no idea how to avoid it killing you. I've tried running, staying still, trying to spot it, which you sometimes can, but it just seems to get me over and over, and I'm back to staring out that window with that piece of paper sliding back in. I eventually gave up. All in all, I was intrigued to see where this was going, so it's a bit of a shame I couldn't get further, but alas, a B it shall get. If someone can tell me in the comments how I was supposed to deal with the bug monster, I might up it to an A. Slenderkill Chapter 5 Graveyard of Death is made by Imelsoft, who is a fan of Slenderman Must Die. I'm not just guessing at that, it's literally stated in the Game Jolt page that this is inspired by them. So it's very clear how I feel about those games and their absolute mastery of the genre, but can this fan game compare? Obviously, we're jumping straight into Chapter 5, so it's already gone through several iterations to reach this point, the final game of its franchise, but that means we're going to see the ultimate rendition of this developer's skill, his apotheosis. We spawn into a world that, okay, looks very store-bought asset flip, but it's a free game, so I of course have zero issue with that. What matters is how these elements are used. On a nearby skeleton, I pick up a pistol, and as I walk into a little tent structure across the way, I get a screamer of Marsky, another creepypasta character. Gotta say, that immediately bodes badly, pointless, apropos of nothing, waste of time. But then, I pointed my deagle at some loser and pulled the trigger, and it activated every neuron in my head, and collectively they cried out in satisfaction. Feel that kickback, hear that gunfire, see the Egyptian mummies recoil. I don't know why, but this map is full of zombies and mummies. Let's be honest, everything here was bought off an online store. That probably includes the gun effects, no doubt, but I do not care, my friends. This is a breath of fresh air amongst wandering around empty woodlands and corridors, scouring for pieces of A4. I feel revitalized, and just when you think the pistol is everything you could ask for, you find the AR-15. Somewhere a gun guy is screaming in anguish as I completely mislabel these weapons, and I feel nothing as I stare down my reflex scope. Now, if you've been watching the footage, you'll have realized this is little more than a glorified shooting range, but I just love firing these weapons. The enemy detection range is incredibly low, and your weapon range is far higher. Even when you shoot them, they just sit there, but I'm having the best time I have in hours. The gunplay in this game is genuinely more satisfying than some real AAA shooters. There's also an AK to be found, and I completed the game twice just because the first time I killed all the zombies and Slenderman before I found it. I cannot describe the degree to which this refreshes me, and I remember I actually can have fun playing stupid little fan games again. To win, all I had to do was find Slenderman at the back, who had way more health, and I didn't even realize it was him the first time. I just dropped a load of rounds into him, wondering why he wasn't going down, and then I walked towards the exit gate, and I was out of there. This comes in at a B, top of B, but still only B, which pains me deeply, you gotta believe me, and I know B tier is so full, but I've got nowhere else to put it. It's too simple and cobbled together to get an A, but it's too much actual fun to go lower. I simply refuse to do it. Slenderman History World War II Faceless Horror is made by Poison Games, baby! Technically, it's not part of the Slenderman Must Die series, but it's still Slenderman being absolutely railed by bullets. What a good little boy. This time we're back in World War II, here to stop the Nazis by flying our fighter plane into their camp, invading their bunker, and putting an end to their evil plans and experiments.
Gods, they've gone so far in the name of conquering Europe that they've communed with the devil himself, and his name is Slender. We start having just landed outside the Germans' camp, pulling out our pistol. We take down a zombie that's out here for some reason, and then get killing some Nazi scum. The game seems to have been made just around the same time as Must Die Underground Bunker, and has very similar gameplay, including the time slow, finding keys and key codes, but with grenades as well. Honestly, they're not really a good idea to use because you're more likely to blow yourself up than anyone else, which I did about 4 times. Also, very strangely, the first area outside the camp has entirely different gun controls to the rest of the game. Instead of a normal first-person shooter, this is more like an arcade cabinet-like gun game, or something you'd play on the Wii with motion controls. My aim isn't locked to the center of the screen, and to turn around I have to drag my cursor to the edge of the screen. Very odd. In addition, aiming down the scope, while aiming you to the center of the screen, just like normal, doesn't actually aim down the weapon's sights. For the assault rifle, it just zooms in a bit, but for the pistol, it nearly aims down the sights, but it's completely off-center. You're actually aiming for about the middle right side of the barrel. All your bullets look like tracer rounds, but they actually are hit scan, meaning they hit the enemy the instant you pull the trigger. Once we're inside the camp though, this weird style of shooting ends and goes back to completely normal FPS shooting. I don't know if this is a very strange glitch or what, but I'm glad we're not dealing with that the whole game. It was annoying, even if unique. Then we charge through a town full of Nazis and head into the main building to get ourselves the code to the bunker. The house is full of more zombies, and I tried to mess around opening doors and tossing grenades in, but I'm just too damn good at blowing myself up, what can I say? The room the code is in is locked, and the weird thing is the key is kind of glitchy. First time I picked it up, the game told me, but the key's physical model stayed on the floor. Then I went to the door, which didn't open still. Then I went back and was now able to pick up the key's model and then unlock the door. And this is definitely the glitchiest poison game I've played so far. In the bunker, we shoot more guys with our 2 weapons and eventually pick up 2 briefcases with Nazi secrets in them before fighting our way back out. The game is still pretty fun, but I'm realizing I might have to stop playing so many Shoot Slenderman games. I'm about to stop being my break in the clouds and become just a different kind of inclement Slenderman game-based weather. Man, that B tier is, it's getting very full. I'm now adding a second row of B tier. Slenderman World War History, what is it called? Slenderman History World War II, whatever the subtitle is. It can find its spot in there. Slender's Wood is made by Zykov Eddie, and I'm pretty sure this one is a downright classic. I'm inclined to agree. That's because this Slender game actually has more to it than collecting pages. In fact, collecting the pages is only available as a piece of bonus content, not in the main story mode. Having become worn out with the hustle and bustle of city living, our protagonist has decided to take a retreat to his parents' old house in the countryside. Well, in the woods, in fact. There, he can get some fresh air, some time to recuperate. But then one night, he hears noises outside, incessant noises, noises that can only be ignored for so long before he has to go investigate. I grab a torch from the kitchen and venture outside. Only a short walk in, I see something out there in the dark, just for a moment, and my head begins to ache. Regretting the decision, our character decides it's time to retreat home, but when he gets back, the door is somehow now barred shut. A note on the floor points him towards the construction site, located to the west. I head straight there, encountering a little locked building on the way. The door says it leads to the underground tunnels. I desperately hope we have no need to go there. At the construction site, we find a small building with a key, and a note telling us we should go to the underground tunnels. Someone else was stuck here before us, unable to make it back home. They holed up in this little shack, their flashlight dying bit by bit. He thought the underground tunnels might be an exit, presumably having exhausted all other options. I guess we'd better follow in his shaky footsteps. It of course doesn't take long to reach the entrance, and the key fits the lock, much to my dismay. The underground tunnels are just as gloomy as the woodland, and steam hisses from damaged pipes. The place must be long neglected. A door tells me it can only be opened by some switch, but it's not found anywhere nearby. Fortunately, it doesn't take too long to find, but more doors are along the path requiring an access code. At the far end of the subterranean complex, I find an electrical switchboard and activate it. Hopefully this means the door at the start is open, and to my pleasure, it is. Inside, there's a few flashlight batteries and a screwdriver, finally a weapon to defend ourselves. Oh, no, I guess not. What was I thinking? At least there's a door code in here we are willing to make use of. 341.
I tabbed out at this point for a moment, and when I tabbed back into the game's window, I found I'd lost all access to the mouse half of the mouse and keyboard setup. Turns out, you can still just use the keyboard, however, as the left and right arrow keys rotate your point of view. Can't look up and down though, which wouldn't be too much of a problem if, as I soon discovered, running didn't slowly pitch your view until you're looking downward at a 45-degree angle. Attempting to make do with my new control setup, I headed to the code lock door and found another key and another note, once again left by the man whose trail we've been following. In the note, he plans to head to the nearby mansion to find help, or perhaps at least a phone. You already know what that key must be for. So we make our way back out, our flashlight threatening to blink out, and noises ringing in our ears. Slenderman was close, but I made it to the stairs before catching a glimpse. Back on the surface, our vision is blurrier than before, our headache worsening as the night goes on. While I have no idea which way to go, and checking the road signs is difficult when I can't look up at them, I somehow end up at the mansion. Our key gets the door open, and the place is quiet, almost pleasant. There's another note on a table in the entryway. Our predecessor didn't have any luck in this place, instead choosing to try his efforts at the nearby sawmill, but I bumped into the sawmill on the way here. It was closed off. Before we head there, we'll need a way to get inside. Upstairs, I find the hour and minute hands to a clock, and in the most esoteric door-opening mechanism I've ever seen outside of a Resident Evil game, I put them back into the grandfather clock. The basement door clicks open, and I enter. This is your classic rich people mansion, thin maze basement, partially filled with water and unpainted grey stone and several dead ends. We all knew a kid with one of those at school. Ah, the days of getting lost in Timmy Winchester's basement, hounded by the deceased spirits of men and women killed by 19th century lever-action rifles. At the end of the labyrinth, we find what must have been the owner's most prized possession, their giant novelty hammer. Now armed with a weapon, we head to the sawmill and use it to break open the gate, where we promptly discard it onto the floor. It's all right, though. Just around the corner there's an axe we can grab. Wait. No, guess not. How stupid of me. Don't want the saw either, obviously. Wouldn't want to slow Slenderman down as he pops my head off like a Lego man. Speaking of Slenderman, he's hot on my tail as I dash into the cellar door of the sawmill. The generator's out, but it doesn't take long to find a fuse and get it going again. Opening another door, where we find a map marked with an X and the word key in red. As we pick it up, a cutscene plays, showing us a key lying on the floor of a broken wooden structure. I turn and head back towards the woods from whence we came, but Slenderman gives me a cheeky howdy hi. Always nice to see him. According to the map, we're looking for a ruined house, which can be found by following the path along to the left. It doesn't take long to find, and as shown, the key lies on the floor. And then Slenderman killed me. He spawned right behind me, and he killed me. He did it a few times. I tried the peek stun strategy, and it worked a little bit, but it's incredibly difficult to navigate, and he quickly killed me again. Each time I respawned back in the sawmill basement, and each time, he killed me again. I eventually decided to check out Markiplier's playthrough, and he just ran away and it was fine. So I guess we can welcome this episode's special guest, Markiplier from 13 years ago, who will now be joining us for the rest of this playthrough. Back at the sawmill, he got the door open, and I was devastated to find out he was rewarded with a gun. A gun. Why can't I have the gun? Why am I not allowed to have any fun in the non-parody Slenderman games? I hate this. Also, why is our guy happy to take the gun, but of course the axe was a no-go? Oh, that would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Next to it, we also find the puddle that was probably once Cody, the guy whose notes we've been following. He did manage to get all of the pages on his way out, though. Good for him. The gun apparently can only be shot with the space bar, but it only takes 3 shots to down Zuntai. As the entity goes down, our guy lets out a sigh of relief, whispering, "Finally I can go home," before presumably whipping the gun into the bushes and wandering into the dark where, surprise, surprise, Slenderman corners and kills him. And that's how the game ends. Credits roll. The page collect mode is brokenly difficult to no one's surprise. Overall, though, let's give this an A, shall we? I mean, there was nothing you could truly call a story or character development or interesting lore, but there was gameplay in there occasionally. It was too difficult to finish, but you know, apparently that's enough to be an A. I can't believe I'm getting to miss Sonic EXE games this much. Nightmare Swamp is made by Stealth 2, and it's a game where you wander around the woods trying to find 8 hidden objects while an unstoppable entity hunts you down. But also, it's a game about layers. You know, like onions, or God, what are those other things that have layers?
Ogres have layers.
Oh, that's right. This is Shrek. This is a game where you deploy into Shrek's swamp and attempt to steal all of his onions. Meanwhile, he endlessly charges towards you at a headlong sprint. You can outrun him, but you better hope he doesn't get you cornered. In fact, it's not a very hard game, but just knowing that at all times, Shrek is barreling directly towards you, like that invincible snail playing a warped rendition of All Star by Smash Mouth, is far more terrifying than you might imagine. You can run like the wind, and at the start of the game, when you have but one stolen onion, it'll be enough to run rings around the big ugly ogre.
I'm sorry, Shrek, I didn't mean that.
But with each onion, he gets just a little bit faster. You can also be hampered by bear traps on the ground along the path, which require you to spam space for a few seconds to get free. And there's a really well-built atmosphere at the start. See, you arrive on your little boat, and there's loads of genuinely great ambient sound. Then you have your attention pulled to a great roar echoing across the land. I don't particularly like that when you pick up an onion, it plays an audio clip from Shrek. It's kind of weird and breaks the vibe. But as you pass...
Ogres are like onions. No, no.
But as you pass Shrek's punishment barrel and hear a yell from the distance, it's surprisingly unnerving. Way more than it should be. You'll also find where Shrek has cooked up Donkey for dinner, but the genuine fear generated by seeing those glowing eyes atop his great form in the distance, crashing through the undergrowth towards you. Actual goosebumps. And let me harp on the sound design again. Dude, the footsteps? You always know when he's getting close because he makes so much noise, but my god. The map is clearly designed to get you cornered, the onions often hidden inside buildings or small islands. This one's in a big open warehouse where you always have to duke Shrek out to escape. The onions always spawn in the same place, and I think I beat the game on attempt number 3. That run was 11 minutes long, but previous ones had made my playtime of the first level just over 30 minutes, which is maybe a little bit too long, but still what I'd call reasonable. Winning lets you escape on your little rowboat, Shrek staring at you from the land. There's a second map, supposedly in beta, but it hasn't been updated in 2 years, so I wouldn't hold your breath. Map 2 does have some fun stuff with elevation, lots of hills and valleys which break Shrek's AI pathfinding. I mean, all in all, one of my favorites, and while a parody, still genuinely scary. I'm going crazy. I'm putting it at the top of A. Fight me about it. I don't give a damn about my reputation. Slenderman Must Die Chapter 7 Abandoned Graveyard is of course made by Poison Games, and it's time to head into an ancient burial ground, find Slenderman's body, and burn it. Haven't we already done this before? I could swear we killed this guy for good for real like 4 times now. Ah well, all the same, we pull our SUV into the place seemingly through a sheer cliff face and then prepare to do battle with the forces of evil. Our first task is to scour the graveyard for the catacomb key, for it's only by entering the catacombs that we can obtain the keys to the church. Slenderman has enlisted new forces to his aid, Spooky Scary Skeleton, and Vampire Butler? All we've got to start is the pistol, but it does its job diligently. I also figured out what caused the trouble outside the Nazi base in World War II. If you skipped that part of the video, that's going to be a real crazy sentence. The Z key unlocks your aiming, so it goes into the light gun game mode. There's a lot of functionality available to us now, between that, time slow, grenades. The major shame is that half of it isn't really useful. All the enemies come straight at you, so the grenade is never a good choice. Time slow doesn't really make a difference to anything, and I don't know why you'd ever use the unlocked aiming. The skeletons are pretty weak, but come thick and fast. The butlers are a little tougher, but, well, they don't really do anything different. The only difference between this game's 4 enemies is their total health. The catacomb key is in a grave, and once in the catacombs, it's just a matter of searching rooms to find more keys. It's on your way out that the first Uber Slenderman will spawn, and I stood 50 meters away from him with my pistol and dispatched him while he panicked and tried to come towards me. Down in the catacombs, I also found the shotgun. It does in fact fire a spray of bullets, so the closer you are, the more will hit and the more damage you do, which I was mildly surprised they actually got working in the game. In the church, which is much larger on the inside, we have to gather 3 fuel canisters. It took me ages to figure out, and I had to look up where the last one was. There's a wall underground that can be broken, but I literally put bullets and a grenade into it and it didn't go, so I dismissed it. Some more bullets, and it did finally break, letting me gather some more fuel, then head back to get the Zippo brand lighter from the shed, then return to the burned Slender's body, and then leave again to get back to the car. Also, I found a machine gun in the church. I think at this point the series needs to evolve a little bit more. Shooting these weapons mostly remains the same as ever, apart from the iron sights now being arguably worse. The maps are bland, the enemy AI is still just to run straight at you. It's getting a little bit more of the samey, and each one is longer than the last without having a great deal to show for it anymore. The first time with the bunker, it felt fresh to be going through new locations and battling enemies with guns, but now we're backtracking through the same area 3 times to extend playtime, and I don't really see the point. There's a Halloween level hidden on here as well. It's back to the classic finding items, in this case pumpkins, and each one spawning enemies, but this time they all glitched and didn't move, which I guess did actually give me a chance to play around with the grenades, so that was nice. I'm putting this into C tier. I just wasn't feeling the love with this entry. I think I've had too much of a good thing. CreepyDates is made by Hadded, and in it you try very hard to make Slenderman scramble your insides like 2 shots of bleach in a hand grenade sandwich. And on this occasion, I'm actually not joking. Well, okay, there's only 3 chapters out right now, so I haven't quite convinced him to whip his sloppy sausage through my emergency fire exit, but I'm gonna pull it off before this is over, I'm telling you. This is a dating simulator, and technically Slendaddy isn't the only guy I could try to have toss my salad like his name Chicken Caesar. The game plays out as a visual novel with point-and-click elements. Every now and again, you'll have dialogue prompts and options that will let you raise or lower your relationships with other characters. Very early on, while checking under your bed, you'll find a box of your old sketchbooks from school, the margins filled with pictures of your favourite creepypasta character. It's here you'll be given the options of Jeff the Killer, Eyeless Jack, or Slenderman to choose as your preferred gentleman. Of course, I'm only going to tell you about the path laid out when you select Slenderman. The rest you will have to wait for another video. After making your choice, you'll fall asleep, only to awake in the empty woodland. Before long, you'll be confronted by Jeff the Killer, who is not fit, and I'm glad I didn't choose him. He'll try and give you a good scare, but when he realizes there's another presence nearby, he'll leave you be. Not long after, you'll no doubt find yourself in Slender's creepy mansion, the only refuge around. You can now go through everyone's room and begin stealing their things, including Jeff the Killer's underwear and Hoodie's pills once you've managed to break into his room that he shares with Marsky. Both of these characters are from the very famous Marble Hornets web series that established the major parts of Slenderman's lore. Marsky and Hoodie were 2 characters that became Slenderman's proxy, people influenced to serve him and do his bidding. Once Hoodie and Marsky find you hiding under their bed, you'll be delivered to the big man in charge, and Slenderman is looking absolutely ripe in a soup tailored to hug his every rippling muscle. Slender tells us he's brought us here in order to be his latest proxy. He's playing his cards close to his exquisite chest and clearly has more plans for us than he lets slip, but as long as his plans are to slip me something, I'm willing to wait. By both gathering the 3 pages he had scattered around the woods when you arrived and picking every ass-licking dialogue option like you're trying to figure out what he ate for lunch, you can suck your way into his good graces. The bar on the side here tells you the strength of your relationship with each character you meet, so you want to be his good little boy or girl at every stop in order to bag his affection. He brands our hand with his logo and sends us back to the waking world. There we do some quick googling about weird sexy Slenderman dreams all day before returning to slumber and the creepy mansion. This is the start of Chapter 2, and Slenderman has a task for us once we go to meet everyone in the house, all the creepypasta characters living here and acting as Slenderman's proxies. Toby, Jeff, Hoodie, Marsky, Nina, Ben, Clockwork, and Laughing Jack are all in their different respective rooms, each with their own little introductions. If you stole Jeff's underwear, you can give it to Nina the Killer, a spin-off creepypasta that worships Jeff. Jeff was also holding onto Ben's stolen hat, which gets you a little bit of love from him when you return it. Ben's the ghost of a child that inhabited a cartridge of The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask in the ARG Ben Drowned. Clockwork, a girl-turned serial killer who sewed her mouth into a smile with black thread and fixed a pocket watch in place of her own eye, wants a hand searching her room for a lost wrench. Meanwhile, Jeff is getting a visit from his brother Lou, the hottest character in the game, don't at me. Once we're done making introductions, Slender sends us on a mission to collect some videotapes from within the woods. We can take Toby or both Hoodie and Marsky, but I'll tell you really want to take the latter. Toby hardcore gives me the ick. Ew. I do not like him. If you take him along, he'll suggest you get some fight practice in. By taking a swing at him, you'll learn that becoming a proxy has imbued you with increased strength, and Toby will lie on the floor, giving you the ugliest little face I've ever seen. I hate his gormless little smile. I wish I could hit him harder. This was actually the version of events before Chapter 3 came out, and it seems to have updated a lot of Chapter 2 when it did. So I'm not sure if this is still in the game. I took Hoodie and Marsky on my latest playthrough when Chapter 3 was out. Before we leave to complete Slenderman's task, they show us the bladed weapons cabinet, letting us pick ourselves out something. This is kind of cute. It's like you're making your own creepypasta OC character. When you start the game, the player customization is surprisingly intricate. You can choose piercings, different glasses, pretty much any accessory from an existing creepypasta character. You can edit your front and back hair, which blend together to make a lot of unique hairstyles, and same with clothes, where you can layer things together. The only thing that you can't really change is your face shape and details like your nose and eye shape, which is a shame. You end up looking like the same person with a huge range of outfits and accessories. I picked myself out the razor, sleek and intimate, and headed off with the boys. Supposedly these tapes are found at the Red Tower, something we walked past during Chapter 1. It was while climbing the tower that the rake attacked. This little monster was kind of a Goatman Wendigo type urban legend, some weird humanoid monster that stalks the wilderness. I defended myself using the razor I got to pick out from the weapons cabinet earlier and left with my prize. Me and the boys chill out and bond for a little bit, but that's when Slenderman turns up and TPs me back to spawn to tell me his brothers are coming to visit tomorrow. He seems a little tense about it, like his brothers are troublesome in some way or another. Chapter 3 starts with us trying to summon Slenderman with a ritual which seems to work, but as soon as he arrives, we pass out cold and arrive back in the mansion. Next time we speak to Slendy, he seems to have no memory of visiting our home. In fact, he gets quite serious, telling us he very much hopes that's a joke, because otherwise it's going to be a whole tangle of trouble. We awkwardly laugh the notion off. At this point, Laughing Jack busts in, clearly not Slenderman's favourite person, and asks to speak with us privately. Jack is someone's imaginary friend who was abandoned for years, turning him into an evil imaginary friend, an imaginary enemy, if you will. He wants to decorate the place and throw a party for Slenderman's brother visiting, roping us into this whole plot when the only thing I really want to be roped into is an indoor swing and shown what those tentacles can really do. We get the place decorated, and when Slendaddy returns, he seems mostly unimpressed, clearly suggesting that Laughing Jack has somewhat devious intentions, and stunts like this are not something we should be getting roped into. The only thing I really want to be roped into is a hog tie and carried around like a little purse. At this point, he introduces us to his brothers, Splenderman and Offenderman, both of whom are well-known parody characters of Slender. Splenderman was a Neil Cicerega character who existed to spread joy and happiness. Offenderman's joke was that he was sexually promiscuous and didn't require consent, so he could probably have been left out of the game. Slendaddy leaves, and as soon as he does, Jack proclaims he's throwing us a party in the basement, inviting everyone. When we arrive, we say hi to the Rake, who seems to be a lot chiller than earlier, as well as Eyeless Jack, who is more shredded than any document containing the words Donald Trump and Private Island. Jeff suggests playing Spin the Bottle, and quickly finds himself making out with a 10-year-old's ghost, which is an interesting point. I'm kind of assuming these characters are aged up a little from their original stories. Jeff is 13 when he becomes the killer, and Nina was like 11, I think? Toby was 17, which actually seems accurate. The rest are basically all adults, I think. We are mentioned doing things like physics tests during the day when we're not at the mansion, so clearly school-aged. Next thing we know, we're supposed to be getting it on with Laughing Jack, and I'm getting the feeling he's trying to sabotage our relationship with Slenderman so he can have us to himself to drill like he's trying to cause an oil disaster. Suddenly, Slender busts into the room and kills the party. Outside, he says he's disappointed in us for letting Jack rope us into distracting everyone from their jobs. But really, the only thing I want to be roped into is teeth-shattering intercourse. These jokes are starting to seem less fun now that we've established we're likely playing a minor, and it reminds me that Slenderman was all uncomfortable with us talking to Offenderman and was like, "Hey, you might want to stay away, he's a bit of a creep." But I think this game is going to end with Slender getting it groovy with a school child, so I don't know, buddy, I think the call might be coming from inside the house on this one. Back in Slendaddy's office, he sits us down before slowly taking off his tie, leaning in close, and we wake up. And that's all that's out of the game so far. Shout out to the wonderful character customization and occasional moments where they forget to translate words over from Spanish. I'd be so happy to give this the S, honestly, but this is a ranking of Slenderman games, and this is a creepypasta game that has Slender in it. The fact he's not singular focus means I've got to dock it a few points and instead drop it at the top of A tier. But Just to be explicitly clear, I played this one 3 times for footage and I loved it every time. I genuinely might make a full video on this game in the future to see what other romances are like when it's all out. Big recommend if you're the very niche type of sad nerd like me who gets excited each time you catch a new creepypasta reference. Slendytubbies is surprisingly hard to find these days. I tried to use the link from a Markiplier video, but it was dead, so I ended up going to the game's wiki, which fortunately offers up a functional media file link. Heads up if you want to play it yourself, though. No, you don't. I mean, maybe the multiplayer offers something if it can still be functioned, but the base game? Nah, not at all. Okay, so obviously, elephant in the room, you're a Teletubby. Teletubbies were these weird costumed monsters from British children's television. It only ran for 5 years, and it has a 3.9 out of 10 on IMDb. Basically, these creepy-ass felt demons would lounge around and eat pink tubby custard all day and worship the sun baby or something. To be honest, while I remember watching it as a child, I remember almost nothing of it, including which Teletubby is which. When it comes down to it, though, it doesn't matter. In this game, you run around the woods with a flashlight and try to pick up 10 bowls of custard, and an evil Teletubby occasionally pops up, and if you look at it too long, you lose. There's nothing in the environment related to Teletubbies apart from one body on the beach. The only other thing that you could note is that trees sometimes fall over when you run past, which is actually pretty cool. Otherwise, this is fully ass. D tier. Wait, you know what? Nah, screw it. F tier. Waste of time. Don't play. Especially when you search Slendytubbies on GameJolt and get 73 pages of results which you could play instead of the original. I think I could make an entire one of these videos just for Slendytubbies fan games, and it genuinely might be more interesting than Slenderman games. Slenderman the 9 pages is my 13th reason. Nah, I guess it's not anything that awful, but it's also really not anything exciting either. We're not in the woods, which I appreciate, not because the replacement map is any more complex, interesting, or noteworthy, but simply for the change of scenery. We're in some kind of industrial basement, we need to grab 9 pages, Slenderman will chase us around. He doesn't follow us directly, he sort of just appears every now and again, but he does feel like he's governed by some kind of rules. In fact, he wasn't that dangerous. He could occasionally block doorways that were my only exit, but usually he was nice enough to move over before long. This game is fondly remembered, best I can tell. I'm guessing that's for adding a hair of interactivity in closets you can open to check inside and a key that opens a door. Otherwise, it's another Slenderman game. Give it a B. I've got a whole extra tier of space. I might as well use it. Slender the Arrival is made by Blue Isle Studios in cooperation with PSX Studios, written by the team behind the web series Marble Hornets, and produced by Eric Knudsen, aka Victor Surge. That means they got the guy who made the original Slender the 8 pages to help make a game written by the guys who made the Slenderman series, where all his lore was established, and because it has involvement from Eric Knudsen, who legally owns the rights, this game is the only official Slenderman game. That means that if you are unhappy that I didn't talk about that one Slenderman game you saw that one time and that I therefore didn't technically rank every Slenderman game, you can suck my fucking dick. I played all the official ones. I'm not the first guy to do it. I won't be the last guy to do it. But one time, I shagged 6 people at once. And today I played Slenderman. If it isn't already clear why we're playing this last, then allow me to make it clear. This is the Slenderman game. This was always going to be the one to beat. The fanbase pretty unilaterally considers this its magnum opus, and it's time to find out why. So let's start with the story, shall we? You play as Lauren, something you'll piece together as you progress. You arrive in your Volvo to the house of your friend Kate. She's recently been struggling with her mental health, and you offered to help. As you approach the home, dusk hits like a brick to the face, and once inside, you find it ransacked. Just outside, there's a missing persons poster for a boy named Charlie Matheson. Kate's bedroom is full of drawings, rampant scribbles pointing towards a radio tower as the only escape from some long, tall man in a black suit. As Lauren casts her gaze across the sketches, a scream is heard somewhere outside, off in the woodland. Fearing it could be her friend in trouble, Lauren dashes out into the forest. That's when she starts getting these weird hallucinations, like she's being stalked through the night by some creature, a slender man.
She happens across a burned-down homestead, and a strange sound emanates from within. There, within the blackened ash, is a pale boy, stock still. Lauren chooses not to approach, instead harassing him by blasting his eyelids over and over again with a flashlight beam from the nearby window. Some of Kate's drawings are hung up around the area, and as Lauren passes, she grabs them. When she finds the 8th one, the strange entity she's been seeing out of the corner of her eyes, scrambling her camera, grabs her. She slips free of his fingers, however, and manages to flee into the night, running and running until a combination of fear and exhaustion overcome her, and she passes out. When she comes to, the gracious rays of morning have arrived. Realizing she's seemingly stuck in the bottom of this valley, she attempts to find help in the only building nearby, the old Coleman Cove mining center. Unfortunately, it's in disrepair and clearly long since abandoned. However, the generators sitting around the place still seem to be fueled up, and a sign near the entrance tells her that by starting them all, the emergency power can be restored and she can escape on the elevator. She finds the first couple without too much issue, but then she starts to hear something strange. Footsteps. Footsteps, and a kind of growling, gurgling, guttural noise. She's not alone down here, and whatever is with her, it doesn't sound like it wants to chat. As another generator comes to life, the footsteps suddenly break into a sprint, and with horror, she realizes they're coming right for her. As she dashes through the labyrinth of run-down excavation gear and fallen structures, the thing only gains on her until she sees it, sees them. Their face is pale, their hair dark black, their hoodie white, blood spattered across it. God damn, it's fucking Jeff the Killer, dude. Well, probably not, but it could genuinely be an intentional reference. Kate finds herself cornered and the chaser leaps upon her, giving Lauren a clear look into its empty eyes, face now clearly covered by a mask. She throws them off and manages to hide amongst the dark, slowing her pursuer down by blinding it with the torch beam. Not only that, but Slenderman is still watching her, appearing every now and again as if to taunt Lauren. Somehow, despite all this, Lauren manages to get all the generators back online, and the elevator pulls her to safety just in time. Back in the calm light of day, Lauren walks the trodden paths and happens across a few pertinent objects. A teddy bear with the name Charlie written on it. It belonged to a boy who went missing, an event that transpired over 9 years ago. In a brief flashback, we see the events as the boy wandered the beach, his parents poorly improvising slightly awkward dialogue on the rocks above.
So beautiful in the fall. The birds were chirping. What kind of bird did we see that day?
Oh, it was a west northeastern.
But they don't see as he begins to wander away, seeing a little wooden train buried in the sand. And another one, a little further away too, a trail that takes him away from his parents' view and into the woods. His parents begin to cry out, searching, but it's too late. Black tentacles begin to slide across the soil and suddenly envelop Charlie. He's lost. A little further down the path, Lauren finds a cave and a building within. On a table sit 2 VHS tapes, ready to be played. In one, she sees Kate. She's in her bedroom, made clear by all the drawings across the wall. She suddenly seems to panic and grab her camera, proclaiming, "He's here." She attempts to protect herself by closing all the doors and windows, all left wide open in the pouring rain, even the front door to her home. As she retreats back to her bedroom, she discovers her efforts were useless. The man is here. He grabs her and drags her out the window towards the forest. On the other VHS tape is an investigation log by a man named CR, short for Carl Ross. CR was a friend of Kate, the two apparently trying to solve the disappearance of the Matheson boy. This has led CR to a homestead, a small farmland overlooked by a chapel. Notes he finds in his search suggest that something has been haunting the Matheson family for generations. He finds a cellar, and as he leaves into the wheat fields, a boy with unhuman skin runs through the fields around him. The boy doesn't seem to attack, not yet. But as CR makes his way into the chapel and picks up a toy train off the floor, a screech rings in the air. The boy barges through the door, ready to kill to get his toy back. This is how we know the boy is what's left of Charlie Matheson. CR flees, dropping his camera on the way. Before the footage ends, something grabs it from the dirt. Lauren decides to move on swiftly, but as she leaves the cave, she finds the forest suddenly ablaze. The man is here too, appearing around her as she attempts to escape through the burning debris. Trees fall and block her path, leading her inevitably to the radio tower. Could it truly be the salvation, like Kate's drawings suggested? She runs inside, finding her way to a dead end. The door slams shut behind her, but she's not alone there. There's a man slumped up against the far end.
but he's unlikely to provide much company, skin charred to the bone. Next to him lies a camera. Lauren plays the last recording and hears CR and Kate's voice. CR begs Kate to stay here with him. He's going to light the place on fire. He's going to burn them both. Kate panicked and fled, leaving CR here to go alone. The door to the room suddenly reopens, and as Lauren approaches, her camera battery finally goes dead. The visuals are lost, but the sound of Charlie Matheson's approaching breathing is unmistakable. Suddenly, somehow, the camera blinks back to life. Time has passed, however. Lauren finds herself in a basement. As the lights flicker, she is met with a horrid sight. Charlie, barely more than a meter away, staring at her, watching from the base of the stairs. Lauren investigates the room and finds a note describing the anxious plight of Charlie's father and an email from CR to Kate suggesting they try to figure out what happened to Charlie Matheson. Perhaps it could bring his spirit to peace. This idea would, of course, lead them down this dark, dark road. Looking back, Charlie is gone. Lauren scrambles up the stairs. It's dark, but as she turns one last corner, she finally sees the friend she's been searching for. Kate is huddled over in the corner, fearful, but alive. As Lauren approaches, ready to grab her friend into an embrace and make an escape from this place, her friend warps in an instant. Kate becomes the thing that chased Lauren through the mine while she attempted to get the power back on, revealing the final joke. Her friend is lost. Just like Charlie Matheson, she's a proxy now, a servant of that monstrous, slender man that haunts the forest behind her home. Lauren's camera falls to the ground and captures her final fate. The thing that was once Kate drags Lauren's lifeless body into the dark. An unlockable chapter can now be played in the menu. A familiar setup, a forest, 8 pages, and something out there. When 8 pages are collected, Slenderman appears, takes a hold of the player, and says, "I have plans for you, Kate." Gangster shit. There's more to the story I didn't outline either, like the full plight of Charlie Matheson's father. You can learn that Kate is a descendant of the Hayes family, who alongside the Mathesons have been residents of this area for generations, all haunted by Slenderman. The attempts to treat the sickness that seems to haunt their bloodline. CR and Kate seemingly saw Slenderman when they were children playing in the woods behind the house. Charlie repressed it for years, but whether Kate remembered is unclear, and either way, the memories began to reassert themselves on both at the same time. CR and Kate decided to go into the woods one night to see if it was all real or all in their heads. They got separated, and according to CR, when he got home, Kate was sitting in her living room. He couldn't get her attention and went home, but it's implied that this was the moment in which the events of the first game were occurring entirely within Kate's head. Some other notes tell us that CR was in love with Kate, professing his love to her only to be harshly rejected. A week later, he invited her to the radio tower on the hill, saying he knew how to put an end to all this Slenderman business. His plan involved a lot of kerosene and a lighter. An honest-to-God story, a mystery, and characters. I was beginning to think it was some unspoken taboo in the world of Slenderman survival horror games. Some pact made by the community that they must simply make the exact same fucking game over and over. But would you believe it? Someone dared to ask the question, what if we did literally anything to build on the premise? This story is strong, it adds to the lore, it incorporates and explains the 8 pages. It's a mystery, delivered in small puzzle pieces you have to fit together yourself. It's like they tried to make a real game. When it comes to gameplay, it's admittedly not quite as strong of a showing. The game does do a little bit more than just make you run from that teleporting guy, cleverly identifying that while it's a good way to deliver a scary atmosphere, it's not a good basis for a complete game. In fact, the one section of the game that is the 8 pages near the start is not only relatively easy, I'm pretty sure that at least on the default difficulty, it's unfailable. I only got 7 of the pages before I guess I ran out of time, but the game still progressed to the next level just the same. The best part of the gameplay is turning on the generators while Kate, proxified into the chaser, stalks you down. And by the way, when I say default difficulty, I mean easy. I didn't get asked to choose a level, it's just in the game options and it's set to easy by default. I dare say that may be for the best for someone who is so sick of Slenderman gameplay. After you escape the mine, the rest of the game is basically a walking simulator. You have to find keys and notes in different places, but it's just a matter of walking between them and very occasionally running from Charlie. There is one level that takes place in a rundown hospital, and this is probably the best level of the game in terms of scares, visions of Charlie harassing you, doors opening and closing of their own volition. Very fun visuals, but
mostly just walking from each of those visuals to the next. There is very excitingly knee-deep water in the basement, and there's a kank down there too. On to the visuals, the game is stunning. I'm pretty sure the best looking game we've played so far, only contested by Anxiety, which was pretty lackluster in every other sense. When it comes to sound, I actually think a lot of it is pretty weak, which is a big hit to a horror game. The little bits of voice acting are not particularly impressive. Check out this phone call where CR sounds like he's about to nod off.
Hey Kate, CR again. I hope everything's okay. I know there's been a lot to take in and wrap your head around. It'll be good when Lauren gets there to help you sell the house.
But the big offender is the footsteps. I have no idea why, but every character absolutely stomps their way through the game. Even if you crouch and move as slow as possible, it sounds like you're trying to make your downstairs neighbors have a mental breakdown. I'm trying to listen for enemy footsteps in the mine, and Lauren is here trying to put a hole in the concrete. In the hospital, when you end up in the water, it's like they tried to make a joke out of it because every step emits an explosion of water in your wake with a deafening sploosh. And then the rest of the ambient sound is pretty par for the course at best. I mean, maybe it would be better if I could hear any of it over the... Now, the other big issue here is the game's length. It's about 2 hours to beat. That's not an issue by itself, but not on sale. The experience costs £16 in GB and $20 in the US. That is a lot of money for 2 hours, and it's not like those 2 hours are absolutely packed with content. It's mostly a walking sim. So, this is it. Ranking time. This board has really gotten away from me. When I did the Sonic EXE ranking, it felt really key. There were so many varying levels of quality, from genuine masterpieces to embarrassing shitposts. Slenderman just never received that same level of love. It's very rarely been approached with a creative intent, always just the goal of making the same game again with stock assets. It doesn't even feel like this is an exciting crescendo. Is anyone really questioning what will end up at the top and bottom of this board? The Arrival gets the S, quite obviously. I guess Slendytubby goes in F tier, because why not? If there's one thing I've learned from this adventure, it's that there's a reason why entire channels exist to play EXE games, and there's a reason why no channels exist just to play Slenderman games. It's a shame that all this built to a, while impressive, kind of underwhelming feeling ending. It's so obvious. I always planned to play The Arrival last, and I did, and it's easily the S. It just feels like there should be something to end this story with, something a bit better, something a bit more epic.
Slenderman Must Die Chapter 8 is made by Poison Games, and it's fucking awesome. As you can surely see already, this baby looks a whole lot sexier than the last one. There's enough polygons here to feed a starving orphanage. We are picking straight back up from where we left off, Slendy's crispy little body cooking away in the chapel basement, barbecuing ourselves up some Slendy tendies. But you think that's all? Nah, bitch. Now I can get my well-deserved vacation. We got voice acting, boys. Every stop has been pulled out, and I'm pulling in. We get swooping camera shots. The first ever look at our protagonist bearing his complete PPE for the proper disposal of human remains. He swings it around and prepares to take his little tuchus to the Bahamas, but this job ain't over yet. A flaming body comes careening over the guardrail. Flaming zombies attack. We draw our axe, and it must be one of those clubs I visit every other Friday night because it's time to get swinging. Let's dish out some trauma. This game looks overwhelmingly better than any previous entry, but not just that, the weapons have been revamped. Just chopping with the axe, you can feel it. We get upstairs to find out what the commotion is, and would you believe it, there's Slenderman, making a run for it. Time to remind them why the only thing they fear is you. Our Doomslayer chases him out the church and onto the city streets, finding burning cop cars and ammo. There are headshots in this game now. They don't just do extra damage, they can blow your enemy's head clear off their shoulders. We've still got time slow, we've still got grenades, we've still got unlocked targeting for some reason. The iron sights on the pistol work like they're supposed to, and every trigger pull feels like God busting a load in your hands. Ammo is now highlighted by a purple aura, and enemies consistently drop more for you. Chasing that little twink across the interstate, we arrive in a city where, honest to God, NPC policemen and civilians wait. We have to gather and protect the civilians with covering fire from the cops. All the while, more and more flaming zombies and Slender clones pour forth, but they're no match, and in no time, the city's cleared. Slender back on the move. We chase back onto the highway, but now we're met with something new and an emotional dilemma. Slenderman has filled the path with brainwashed men, ready to gun us down the moment we're in sight, but these are just innocent people, unable to stop themselves. How can we see it just to fight back against... Oh wait, they're cops. Leaving a trail of bacon in our wake, we draw forth the shotgun, absolutely brutal at close range and still dealing enormous headshot damage. In addition, we can occasionally get slow-mo bullet time for a few seconds on an especially devious kill. We keep up the chase into a quiet village, now seething with flames and gunfire. Brainwashed civilians jump from their homes and try to stop us. But these are just innocent men and women. They know not what they do. Families, children, we can't just... We come across an assault rifle in a completely unfurnished house and tear apart the neighborhood. Finally, we're hot on Slenderman's heels as he attempts to siphon power from upturned petrol tankers for some reason scattered across this small courtyard. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but all that matters is bringing this to an end. Slenderman must die. Also, in this random church courtyard, there's 3 bundles of dynamite because fuck it, why not? We gather it up and blow this place sky high. With no more places to run and no more power to drain, Slenderman meets us mono-y-mono. One last climactic battle for the future of all mankind. He runs, he strikes, he throws fireballs. What is happening? I riddle him with rifle rounds, watch his health bar drop. I swap the shotty in to get his fair share, and of course I have only one true way to go next. He's been here with me all along and he's hungry for revenge. Hungry as a... Shit, I don't know, what would be a good one? What would eat revenge? I could say like a hungry caterpillar, but he didn't eat any revenge. He just ate everything. I guess it would be like a hungry caterpillar that's been wronged in some way, like a John Wick hungry caterpillar that would devour revenge. I guess he's as hungry for revenge as a John Wick hungry caterpillar. That doesn't scam very well. Like, I feel like that's kind of going too far for the simile. I don't think that really works. Let's just scrap it and move on. I pull my pistol and release round after round into this lanky bastard until all that's left is a sliver. How embarrassing. After all this time, this is all you've got left in you. I expected a fight. But there's only one true way this can end, my friend. It's never served me well before, but just this once, I think it's time he got his moment in the spotlight. Frag out, motherfucker. Roll credits. In the words of Optimus Prime, I've come. This was genuinely so much fun, so tight with barely half an hour in it, and all of it an absolute blast. New enemies, new areas, new weapons. This was truly the apotheosis of Poison games. At the time, anyway. I bet he's got even better stuff now. This was released in 2022, 5 years after Chapter 7. What a way to go out. Bravo, sir. S tier. The Arrival can trip and fall down the stairs. I'd take this every time. This whole thing's a sham anyway. Boys and girls, we did it. We made it to the end.
I played so many games I didn't tell you about on this journey. There are several I played, wrote, recorded, and edited sections for, but realized they were just too boring, so I cut them. By the halfway point of this video, I had thoroughly exhausted my entire repository of jokes about wandering around aimlessly in the woods, and how Slenderman was an incredibly fuckable twink. I called the Sonic EXE ranking a nightmare. No, this was a nightmare. I played half as many games and had about a 12th as much fun. Not to mention that each Slenderman game was like a minimum 20 minutes, and some of the Sonic EXE ones were like 2 minutes, and was still more worth talking about. This was hell. Don't do this. Literally just play The Arrival, and then never play any other Slenderman game. Maybe play the original 8 pages, just for historical purposes, and then never play another Slenderman game. Forget about Slenderman games. This path leads nowhere good, trust me. But with that, we are done. It is over. Thank you so much for watching me torture myself. Check out that video ranking every Sonic EXE game on screen now, and if you want to see me discuss a near-perfect version of what The Arrival delivers, and I remember, and I've put it out when you're watching this video, my breakdown of Amnesia: The Dark Descent should be somewhere on screen now. And that's the end of the script.